Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Q and Colb. And today we have JP, who I think we can officially give him the Pass to Troy pass. Like he's always invited, like a standing invite to the show. JP, how's everything going over there?
It's going great. I am extremely tired after the NFL draft, but it was a really eventful NFL draft for basically everybody. So I'm glad it happened the way it did, but now we're on to 2026.
Absolutely fun stuff there. Obviously, the Browns and the Jaguars interacted a little bit during the draft. Do we want to start there? Do we want to start with the Travis Hunter trade?
I mean, we could start there, but before we start with the Travis Hunter trade, there is a question that I need to ask JP personally. When does One Piece get great? Because I'm on like episode 240 and I just need to know.
Okay. So One Piece for me really picks up at the Marineford arc. I don't know. I forgot which specific episode that starts with. But once you get to Marineford, that's really where I think it starts to pick up. In the anime, that is 457.
Okay. 200 episodes to go.
Yeah, you can kind of bounce around through the filler. You don't really need to see the filler, but once you get to Marineford, that's really where the story starts to pick up and where everything starts to really start to gain speed. I don't think some of the stuff beforehand is pretty cool and will play a role later on, but Marineford and Impel Down are the most impactful arcs pre-time skip that you need to be there for.
Okay.
Oh, there's a time skip. Cool. We got JP on. We're gonna talk about draft. We're gonna talk about football today. Right. Any more questions you got for JP?
No, I just wanted to get that. I want to get that out of the way now.
Start the show with One Piece. Interesting. But yeah, let's get into the draft here, right? The Browns make the trade with Jacksonville. They go from 2 to 5. They pick up an extra first and an extra second for their troubles, and then there's a bunch of pick swaps in between there. What was your takeaway of it? I mean, you get Travis Hunter, and like that's the headline of the deal, right now. It's the Travis Hunter trade. Do you have any concerns, like even in your optimism, because I know you're a big Travis Hunter guy, about giving up that extra first for a position player, right? Like understanding where you are with quarterback where you have one.
Not at all. I think I would do that trade 100 times out of 100 if given to me again. And I think it's because, yes, Travis Hunter is a position player, but he impacts the game on both sides of the ball. Mm-hmm. I think Andrew Berry, leading up into the draft, called Travis Hunter Shohei Ohtani. You don't just pass up on the chance to take Shohei Ohtani. So when you're given the opportunity to trade up for a guy like that, I think it makes too much sense, especially for where the Jaguars are. And they kind of telegraphed that they were going to make this move leading up to the draft. James Gladstone was talking about raising the ceiling of this team through the draft. They wanted to be explosive. They weren't afraid to make splashes. It was this, that, and the other. They were telling you that they were going to try and trade up, and they felt like they had a deal in place. And I think with where this Jaguars team is at, which is they're talented. This is a Jags team that was just in the playoffs in 2021. They were on the cusp of making the playoffs the year after that. Not 2021, but in 2022, they made the playoffs. We're on the cusp of making the playoffs in 2023. The coaching was just bad. So now you just need the impact players like Travis Hunter, who really can elevate the ceiling of a team on both sides of the ball. I would do this trade 100 times again if I were the Jaguars. And I think for the Browns, it's going to lead to opportunities for them to kind of really reset their roster and kind of go into a new era with multiple picks. It's just, how are you going to use them this time around?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to bet on you guys' misery, too, because if Travis Hunter comes there and you win 12 games and we get 28th pick in the draft, it's like, well, we look pretty stupid, right? I think a lot of the calculation here is like kind of the Browns making a bet against Jacksonville, which is something you do when you trade with teams, right? You have to consider like, hey, am I trade this guy there? How much is that going to improve them? I think even Andrew alluded to it during this press conference where he almost said it, but he caught himself before he said it, where he mentioned, he was like, yeah, we feel like that pick has a good chance to, be a high selector next year, right? Like,
Ooh, he wanted to call your ass so bad.
Hey, man, look, I get it. I completely understand.
You are the
as a Jaguars fan.
Deshaun Watson last year.
I understand seeing expectations for the Jaguars and then seeing them fall flat on their face. So I will not be saying my expectations for this team publicly because I know they'll just fall flat on their face. I could see this completely imploding because that's what the Jaguars are. And I would be, all right, fine, whatever. But even if it does implode, I would still make that trade knowing what happens after.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're the Browns, perfect scenario, this gets off to a rocky start for them, and then Travis Hunter catches fire, like after you are tied to their first round pick, and then it becomes like, okay, well, you did get a top 5 or top 10 or something like that, right? In return for him. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this works out long term with it. I was so tired to see a JP be excited about Travis Hunter, though. After the draft, I told that man to go to bed, dog. I was like, there's people trying to sleep here. You out here like, I can't believe we got Travis Hunter. I'm like, shut up.
I was just about to ask. I was like, what was your initial reaction to the pick, like to the trade? Because I know how Browns fans were. I was literally at a draft party, and like I literally like saw the reactions of Browns fans live. I was like, man,
JP's been on cloud 9 since they stole that offensive coordinator from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with it. Like, I think he's never been like, this is like since the Saxonville era, this got to be like the happiest you've been with the Jaguars.
This is the most I've actually seen the Jaguars, specifically Tony and Shad Khan, actually throw their weight around and throw their money around in the world of the NFL and in the world of NFL ownership. A lot of times, Jaguars have always been the team that's been picked on. They've been the team that's pushed over. They've been I guess if Liam Cohen doesn't want to be a head coach with Trent Baalke, I guess we'll just go pick another retread. We'll stick to kind of the rivers and lakes that they're used to, but to see them go out and be aggressive and go and get a 39-year-old first-year head coach, go and get a 34-year-old GM who has panned out pretty well so far. I think all the rave reviews have been really, really telling for who James Gladstone is. And then to go and get Travis Hunter, I feel like I'm super excited because I can see what they're doing and I can see the plan for what they're trying to become. And I think James Gladstone said perfectly at Travis Hunter's press conference, which is they're trying to push the boundaries of what actually is possible on an NFL field. And I'm like, you know what? Hell yeah. Let's go do some crazy shit. Even if it only leads to like 6-7 wins this season. If they're just trying shit out there, cool. I just want to see what the crazy stuff they can come up with. I think this team is going to be good because I think there's just too much talent on the offensive side of the ball to really kind of falter again, especially with the play calling that is coming over with Liam Cohen. But I'm just excited to see that they have a vision and see the plan going forward of investing in the youth and moving forward into the modernity of the NFL.
And it's always exciting when your owner decides to be aggressive and drop money. Then one day you drop 230 on Deshaun Watson. And
not all. We've made decisions before. I remember Nick Foles. I remember that Nick Foles contract.
You know what I mean? Like it can switch real quick with NFL owners when you get excited or not excited about their willingness to commit money to the franchise. But
I was so ready. Like during the draft, if they weren't going to trade up for Travis Hunter, I was so ready to call James Gladstone so many different things. Well, I was so ready to be negative.
Well, I think what the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing is like, 20 years of passiveness, right? And now it's like finally aggressive. Like even like when you look at how Saxonville fell apart, it was really like they didn't really try to keep Jalen Ramsey there, right? Like they weren't like going to put their foot down and be like, no, Jalen, you're staying here. They were like, all right, well, you want to go, we'll trade you, and it just kind of all fell apart from there. But now it's a lot more aggressive, and I can understand that being super exciting. Travis Hunter too, like I think just said everything right from when he got called. Because what I think the first thing they said was, we're going to trade up to 2 to get you. He's like, you made the right decision.
Absolutely. Like I think he was the best player in this draft class, and I think even though I had Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Junty as like the top 3, there was still like a little bit of a gap between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter for the number 1 spot. And it's just because like the dude is a football psychopath. He does not care about anything outside of football other than fishing. Like he literally like lives and breathes the sport. And I think that he can be the face of a franchise that sort of needs that energy boost after what had happened last season. So I'm excited. I'm also prepared for it to not work out because it's the Jaguars. But even if it doesn't, like, I would still do every single step that they've made again, given if hindsight were 2020.
Now, if Trevor Lawrence struggles this year, does that change every bit of optimism that you have right now?
Like, it takes my optimism down a few notches if he still struggles. Because, this is everything that he's been asking for, everything that we've been looking for in terms of creativity on offense, personnel. I think that if he does struggle again this year, there are going to be some questions asked about Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback. But, I mean, we've seen teams like get out of bad QB contracts and then immediately get good again or immediately get good, And I still think he's going to end up being like, somebody's like Matthew Stafford, where you trade for him and then go win a Super Bowl, because that's just what the Jaguars do. So I'm pretty sure that, like, give it maybe like, what's a team that's close enough to winning the Super Bowl in the next couple of years that needs a quarterback and will probably end up trading for Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. I used to say it was the Dolphins, but
that first round pick back.
Yeah, they're gonna end up getting that first round pick back.
No, you might get your first round pick back.
Hey, see, you know what? Look, I'll do take backs if he ends up struggling, but I think the odds of him struggling are kind of low, because I still think last season, even though it was very up and down, you still saw the potential and the things that made him the number 1 overall pick. So now getting him to that level of consistency is going to be the biggest question. But with a modern offense and with actual like humans playing receivers, it makes a lot of sense to see where he could kind of break out again.
Yeah. I just wonder what happens if like he still shows that he's going to have those hot streaks and those cold streaks, right, that he has. And it's in year 2, it's flashes, right? But year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7, you're just inconsistent if that keeps happening, right? So
yeah, that is true. Liam Cohen has also worked with a hot and cold quarterback before and has made the playoffs.
So Mayfield, yes, sir.
Like, look, okay. I think Trevor is at least better than Baker Mayfield. So no matter what people on TikTok will try and say about Baker Mayfield, I think Baker Mayfield tries really hard. And I think that's what people really love about Baker Mayfield. He's just not going to quit. He is like Colb, he's like Moomin Rider from One Punch Man. He must not be that great, but he tries so hard, and you can get behind him. You can win with him, but at some point, like, trying to only get you so far.
At some point, he gonna get his ass whooped. This is what you saying.
At some point, he's going to try and run for 20 yards on 3rd and 10 and end up getting like helicoptered like he did last year.
Calling Baker Mayfield Movement Rider.
Movement Rider is crazy, bro. It's only some people watch anime. Some people who watch us watch anime, and they're 100% gonna get that.
I stand for the other 75% of people who don't know what the hell is going on now.
If there's a wrestling reference for Baker Mayfield, I think I've always kind of called him Spike Dudley. Because he tries really hard. He's gonna have his moments, and then he's gonna crash through a table very hard. That's just what Baker Mayfield does. And you gotta live with it, and you can kind of win with it, but you're not gonna win like the big.
He's like that. He's like one of the Briscoe brothers. The one that's in AEW, where it's like he gonna try hard and fans gonna love him, but then he gonna go up against Okada and get his ass whooped, and that's just gonna be what it's gonna be, right?
He's like Briscoe in the sense of like he kind of acclimates to whatever environment he is in.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has become such a Tampa person.
Well, that's the thing with Briscoe is like. Yeah, he's been all these other places and he's been fine. But then you put him in Florida and you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, he is a Florida guy. And I think that's Baker Mayfield to a T. Like,
Baker Mayfield is pinnacle Florida man.
Yeah, but he will be one of those white dudes with a pink tan by the time he's in his 50s. He is super Florida, right?
Gonna be out there on in the marina in Tampa Bay
with the white shit on the nose,
little floral shirt.
Like
he'll be at Margaritaville.
GTA 6 when that come out in 30 years.
He gonna be at Margaritaville every other Tuesday
with a little shirt and a tank top and a chain. Like, is this Florida or Southern Georgia? I don't know, but it's the same.
Same thing.
But also more picks the Browns have made in this draft, right? The Mason Graham selection, if you're going to trade back, at least get a really good player is my thing. And you traded back, got a really good player. So I found my peace with it. I still would have rather just taken Travis, right? But
it sucks to get the rug pulled out on you with Travis Hunter, especially leading up to the draft. Everybody thought it was going to be Travis Hunter. It sucks. But hearing everything that they've said about Mason Graham, hearing the reports that Myles Garrett was the one who picked Mason Graham, I would want to keep that guy happy, considering you're paying him $40 million a year. And I actually think he's going to fit really well into Jim Schwartz's defense. And that pass rush group of Mason Graham, Mike Hall, Myles Garrett, and whoever you want to put on the other side, that could be really fun. That could be something that can really boost that defense. And I think some of their picks on day 2, like Schlesinger at the 33rd pick, is going to be really fun.
Yeah, I think Miles want his pick and roll partner, right? Like somebody take that screen, roll downhill. I could throw a lob to, right? Or they could throw me a lob, right?
Yeah.
I watched Mason Graham play. I'm like, okay, I see why Miles wants him because he's not worried about that length to finish. That's Miles's job. That's just more food for Miles to eat up if it's there. So it makes a ton of sense what they did there, especially when you pair it with Schlesinger, who really fun player to watch on tape. Super fluid hips, man. You just instinctively you call him a hooper. He just moves so fluid. Really good eyes. I think the only thing I've seen with Swess is he probably needs to get a little stronger. I think he probably would stand to get a little stronger here. There's some goal lines where he doesn't really hold his ground the way you would want him to.
The question with him was when I watched him on tape, just like you said, the movement skills and the range really stand out. And I think that's going to stand out in Jim Schwartz's defense. And I think that's something where, as JLK has kind of been worn down by injury, as they've kind of struggled to find a consistent running mate next to him, you've kind of missed that range in coverage specifically. Carson Schlesinger has such good eyes and instincts in coverage where he's the pole runner on Tampa 2. You can have a match against running backs and tight ends. He, outside Jahai Campbell, was one of the best coverage linebackers in this draft class. And then he has the speed to fill downhill. His problem was that he played at UCLA at 220 pounds and then showed up at Combine at 242. So it's like, oh, you can put on that weight, but he never ran at all during this process. So I wonder if he's able to consistently hold that weight while playing at the speed that he does, or does he try and get back down to like 220, 225 to play in the NFL, which I mean could be fine behind that defensive line, but I wouldn't try and like have him consistently try and take on guards at the second level.
Yeah, and I remember you mentioned something about this last year where it's like teams have moved to these tiny linebackers over the years, and that becomes a real problem once teams start to try to attack it in the run game. And I look at Schlesinger, I'm like, in the Mason Graham pick, I'm like, I wonder if the Browns are trying to get ahead of something here where they see the run game start to rejuvenate in the league, and they don't want to be caught flat-footed because they're one of the teams that have invested in tiny DTs and tiny linebackers and get ran off the field.
Even with Schwartz's defense, I think they can survive against the run because of how they play the run. Their defensive line is all about gap penetration. They want to get as quickly up the field, as fast as possible, as far up the field, and then they ask their linebackers to kind of just fill in the gaps where, you know, say Mason Graham messes up, ends up in the wrong gap. Schlesinger is going to be the one to kind of replace where he's going to be, which is why you need those guys who can fill quickly. It's very similar to it's actually similar to how the Bills play their defense, where they have a bunch of smaller guys up front, but it works because you have Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Taron Johnson at the second level who kind of just fill in the gaps. I actually think Terrell Bernard is a pretty fun stylistic play style comp for Schlesinger because of how quickly he can fill in the run game and in the range as a pass defender. But I think the Browns are trying to kind of just, you know, we're just not even going to care about the quarterback or throwing the ball at all. We don't care. We're just going to run the hell out of the ball and see if we'll run the ball, play good defense, and just be physical until we can actually get a quarterback worth a damn.
3 passing concepts this year: stick, mesh, drive. Okay,
that's it.
That's
it. You don't need anything else.
3 fingers. Okay, 1. We're going to 1. Did we get ahead of the sticks? All right, let's run mesh. David, run the ball route. Dylan, throw it to him all the time. Like that.
You might be asking the wrong guy.
Hey, Dylan, Joe, whoever it is, your job is to get to that third step and just throw that motherfucker to the seam, right to David Njoku, and hope he does something with it.
Yeah, I think it is interesting seeing what they did in this draft to kind of, I like to call it QB proofing your offense. And at least for now, they're just going to try and be extremely physical on both sides of the ball until they can actually go and get a quarterback that they actually like. And so I actually have a lot of questions about what they did with the Jaguars picks, especially going Quinshon Judkins, then Dylan Sampson, who, like, Dylan Sampson is a gap scheme running back with bad vision, and Quinshon Judkins is a bigger version of a gap scheme running back with bad vision. So they're very similar in a way, but I think that a plot that works here because you're not going to ask them to try and be like super duper like dynamic as an offense. They're just gonna try and hit you in the mouth as hard as possible and then go play defense and see what happens. So I think that makes sense what they're doing because you're not getting a quarterback this year.
Yeah. And I think part of the run game philosophy with those 2 backs in particular was they led the league, I think, the last 2 or 3 years in negative yard runs in the NFL. And they just wanted to get running backs that can get positive yards, like on a consistent basis. And say what you want about Quig. Quig gonna get positive yards. Like if he gonna
all the time,
head down, right to the goal, to whatever gap he's supposed to go to. And the same thing's kind of true of Dylan, where Dylan likes to get downhill really quickly. So I think that was probably the thinking there. Let's get guys who are hard to tackle. And we're just going to grind it out on offense, and I'm really worried about explosives. And then maybe Jerome Ford, or if they bring back Nick Chubb, will be who they go to hit those home runs. I don't know if Nick Chubb is a great fit post knee surgery to be your home run hitter, but at the end of the day, he is Nick Chubb. So you feel better about giving that a shot there than like Jerome Ford. But Jerome's been a pretty effective home run hitter. The problem with Jerome is when you run him 18 times, none of them runs going to be behind the line of scrimmage. Like, and that's just something you can't afford in this offense.
Jerome is so super boomer bust. He's so funny to watch because he always has that one play every game where he's breaking like a 40-yard or a 50-yard run. And you're just like, man, why can't you do this all the time? Like, if you could just do this all the time, we would be fine.
It is the true, like, it's funny to say this about a guy who's been in the league for 3 years compared to somebody who just got into drafted, but he is truly Travion Henderson at home. Like, we got Travion at home.
except he can't pass protect at all.
His pass protection is awful. Every time Cleveland puts him in the shotgun set and he has to pass protect, I'm like, well,
I think something crossed there with him because his first 2 years in the league, he was fine at pass protecting. Like, it was actually like one of the positives to his game. And then this last season, it just fell off. Like, I don't know what happened there. So I'm going to chalk that up to the fact that they fired their offensive line coach like 2 days into hiring him, from everything that I can hear with what happened with Andy Dickerson last year. And that probably had some kind of ripple effect to Jerome because he wasn't always a horrific pass protector. And literally every pass protector for the Cleveland Browns was fucking awful. Like, even the ones that Joe Bitonio was trash at times. I'm like, he's Joe Bitonio, right? Like, so something went down in that in the offensive line room that I think kind of really broke a lot of folks down. But yeah, like, if you look at what people looked at Jerome Ford as, like, going into last offseason, it's basically Travion Henderson, but like less consistency.
Yeah, I think with what Jerome Ford brings you in explosiveness, I think that Sampson can bring you that, but it's in a gap scheme. Like, I don't think he's got the vision to kind of be a consistent, like, every down back. I don't think Judkins has the vision to be a consistent every down back, which is very funny because they all have, like, Jerome Ford has the explosiveness, probably doesn't have the vision to be an every down back, which is why you'll get a 40, 50-yard run combined with 3 runs that end up for like -4 yards. So I think with where potentially the Browns are going, I think by making Tommy Rees off the coordinator, I think he might be adding a little bit more power, a little more counter to this offense to kind of, it feels like they're trying to get back to the version of Kevin Stefanski ball that got them to the playoffs, which is great, but they're going to add a little bit more power, a little bit more counter, a little bit more duo, try and get more physical and run at teams and at opponents, which is where I think guys like Judkins and Sampson really thrive, which is when you don't have to tell them to read out a gap or not a gap, read out a blocking scheme and just tell them to run behind somebody or run forward.
Yeah, give them an eye to look behind them or to look at. Fannin Jr., Harold Fannin Jr. got drafted to Cleveland. That was a favorite pick of Browns fans. I remember talking to you earlier in the process. You felt like Gunnerham might have been a better fit for the Browns. Like, do you still feel that way about that selection there? Or is this something where now that the Browns' philosophy has kind of made itself more prevalent, it makes more sense for you?
I think Helm might have been the better blocker, but in terms of what the Browns want to be, which is, they want to be meticulous on the ground, which is what we've kind of talked about, but then you're going to try and be explosive through the air. I think Fannin is the better option here. It felt like Fannin was going to be a Brown for a long time. Like, I think that was kind of the, okay, we know what they're going to do on day 2, which is draft Harold Fannin Jr. And I think he fits in this offense next to Njoku because you can play him off the ball. You can play him as your F tight end. You can line him up at fullback and put him in different fronts or different personnel groupings to kind of get him isolated matchups. And I think as much as Fannin has been raked over the coals during the draft cycle, he is very good at being explosive down the field on a vertical plane. I think running goes, I think running corner routes, I think running post routes. He's very explosive. He's got the ability to win after the catch. So you're going to see him in Cleveland kind of be a little bit more of that explosive option with the ball in his hands. I think it's going to be really similar to Jonnu Smith. And I think that's something that you want to incorporate into this offense, especially because the receiver room isn't that great, to put it kindly. So Fannin might be like the most explosive receiving option outside of Jerry Jeudy at this point on the roster, Jeudy and Njoku.
It's Jerry Jeudy and the Pips. Like let's call it what it is.
Tillman, we'll see what Cedric Tillman does because he legitimately did look like really good, and we were talking about him like in 3 or 4 games outgaining what Amari Cooper was doing with the Buffalo Bills.
Shout out Jameis, by the way.
Oh yeah, Jameis. He was throwing that bitch up, right? There might be a lot of that going around in Cleveland this year. But I'm interested to see what Cedric Tillman does healthy. This concussion really derailed him. I don't think you can count on him, and it's not great that that's your 2. But in the situation the Browns are in, they're not trying to win a championship this year. They got to see what they got right on this roster to an extent, and that means letting some dudes play that you don't feel like 100% about, right? And maybe they
Juwan Jones,
huh?
Juwan Jones.
No, I think they feel great about DeJuan, to be honest with you.
I don't feel great about that.
Yeah, but I mean, like DeJuan's fine when he's out there. It's just he needs to lose some weight. We'll see how he looks when he comes into camp. But if he comes in and he's not like 400 something pounds like last year, then I think we know what he could do when he's like he has his weight under control and he's healthy. The question is like, can he get the weight under control, and does that change the health outlook for him? Because like it's hard to avoid injury at 400 pounds in the NFL, man. Like it's just really difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, DeJuan it's tough. It's tough for him because he's too big. Like it's at some point, like you gotta try and get him to slim down a little bit. Yeah. So you worry about how consistent he can be in the offense. But I mean, at this point, like you just got to get your best 11 out there and see if you can put together at least competitive roster. See who's going to be there in 2026.
Absolutely. Let's talk about quarterbacks real quick.
Oh boy.
The funnest part of this draft has been the fact that the Browns drafted 2 quarterbacks in day 2 and 3 of the draft. With their comp third, well, not their comp third, the comp third that they got from Buffalo. Was that a comp third or was that a regular third?
I think it's a regular third.
I think it was a regular third.
That was their
regular
pick.
Third.
Yeah, that was just their pick.
That's what's been getting me biased, thinking it was a comp third, to be honest with you.
No, that was the Amari Cooper. That was the Amari
Cooper trade, and that wasn't okay. So they gave up a 3rd round pick to go after Dillon Gabriel. This has been a heavily criticized pick. And like the amount of at least from what I've seen from the people who at least interact with some of the stuff that I've been putting out there, there has also been as much as there was a wave of why did we draft Dillon Gabriel, which I think is a popular sentiment about the selection nationally and locally. There has been a hive of Dillon Gabriel supporters that are justifying the selection to an extreme degree. With Dillon, what are your concerns with his game? And I would love to have a fully in-depth conversation about why it is that 5'11" does affect his ability to be effective in the NFL potentially.
Real quick, before you even get into that, Q, are you saying that you are not a part of Dillon's dudes? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not gonna ever degrade myself by becoming a stan for a quarterback or calling myself something for a fucking quarterback. Okay. And I definitely wouldn't do it for Dillon Gabriel. And I'm also not doing that shit for Shedeur Sanders.
Not a Shedeur soldier either.
I don't give a fuck about both of these groups of people.
Thank you. Someone had to say it.
I hate to two sides this, but I hate both of these groups right now, if I'm being honest with you.
So does that make you a Flacco fella, or is that
no? I don't give a fuck. I'm not standing any of these quarterbacks. These quarterbacks are not standable. Right?
Is he? Are you a Pickett person?
Oh, good God, no.
Pickett Pioneer. by the way.
Pioneer.
Unique situation where I have made myself an enemy of the stand bases of all four of the quarterbacks that are in this room. I talk mad shit about Kenny Pickett. I was the main person being like, Joe Flacco old. He gonna throw interceptions eventually. And they got mad at me about that in 2023. And then Dylan Gabriel, everybody expected that I'm gonna like him. Why? I don't know. But I'm like, not a big fan, right? Like, kind of reminds me of cooked rust, but slightly less effective. And then Shedeur, I've been screaming for the hilltops. Probably should have taken that dude anywhere near the top 10. Now, him falling to day 3 was crazy, but like I've pissed off every stand base at quarterback, and I am firmly in the fuck these people category for anybody that is willing to join a hashtag to say that I am a diehard stan of a quarterback or one of these quarterbacks who are probably going to lead to a losing season this year by design.
I just have to say, it is so funny. Imagine being Dylan Gabriel. You get drafted 94th overall. You get a little congratulations post from the Browns. Not even like 12 hours later. Not even a full 24 hours later. They draft Shedeur Sanders, and the entire Browns Instagram, entire Browns timeline, full of people putting the wristwatch up. Full of Shedeur Sanders.
That's not
like,
even the worst part. That's not even the worst part. Did you notice that none of the players said anything to Dylan, but like all of them said something to Shedeur? Denzel
like, come
Ward,
on, man.
I can't wait to get to work, bro. Let's go. And add Shedeur, I'm like, man, that's fucked up, bro.
It's like that. It's like that scene from SpongeBob where they hold out Squidward and they boo, and then hold out SpongeBob, everybody cheer. Like I feel like Dylan Gabriel's got to be a little slighted, but the problem with being Dylan Gabriel and being 5'11" in an NFL offense is
whoa, JP, 5'11" and 1/8 inch.
Whatever, 5'10". I'll go down to 5'10". I don't care.
It technically makes him closer to 6 foot.
5'10" without shoes on. 5'10" without shoes on. The problem is not only is he 5'11", he also has an extensive injury history. He's got a slight frame and also doesn't have a very strong arm, which does not play very well in the AFC North. And I also think that where Gabriel his flaws really showed up under pressure, where he would kind of get a little skittish under pressure. I think he's a fine athlete, not exactly like overwhelming. And I think that the ball just kind of dies when you watch Dylan Gabriel play. So he doesn't have that overwhelming like trait or talent that every other quarterback that's under like 6'2" or 6'1" even kind of has. You know, Russell Wilson was one of the most incredible athletes we've seen at the position. Also has a very strong arm. Kyler Murray is legitimately one of the best athletes we'll ever see play quarterback in the NFL. Baker Mayfield tries really hard. Dylan Gabriel doesn't really have any of those things. So.
And Baker has like a really strong arm too.
He has a strong arm. And he can actually throw those passes to the outside hash. The ball kind of just dies with Dylan Gabriel. So the worry there is that, you could be an effective point and shoot RPO quarterback, but how far is that going to get you in the NFL? You know, we've seen how far point and shoot RPO only quarterbacks get you in the NFL. It doesn't really work. You need a guy who's actually going to throw over the middle of the field without being in an air raid gimmicky bullshit offense. So I wonder what the process was behind drafting Gabriel, then drafting Sanders, because I still don't really know. Like, if you were planning to draft both guys going into this, which I don't think they were, why would you spend the 3rd round pick on a guy who might not make the roster? And if he doesn't make the roster, you burned a 3rd round pick for nothing. And then, it just, none of it really makes sense outside of they're just throwing shit at the wall. At the
well, JP, when you realize that Dylan Gabriel was their 2nd ranked quarterback on their board behind Cam Ward,
I don't think that makes it any better.
Oh no, it makes you question
that makes it better.
It makes you question everything.
Wait, where did you get that from?
So apparently that's what Nathan Zagora said the other day. Dylan Gabriel was their second-rate quarterback behind Cam Ward the entire time.
I'm gonna take that with some grain of salt. Coming, it's from Nathan Zagora.
I
cannot
don't
take that
know.
as fact. I cannot take that as fact at all.
I don't want that.
That feels like PR spin. I'm gonna be real with you, right? Like
man,
I feel like it came
part of me is that kind of scares me. That
I think that shit came from Peter. That didn't come from. There's no shot.
The fact that they put it out there at all is
because
I feel like you gotta say that about the quarterback you bring in.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, except for the guy who went number one overall. This is the second highest guy on our board. It's like,
I mean, you gotta lie, I guess.
Yeah, you can't go in and say, yeah, he was like our 12th rated quarterback.
You also don't have to say anything. You don't have to say that.
You don't have to say that. Nathan said it. Like, and we know what Nathan's job is with the Browns. I don't think that's information we should take seriously. And then it's probably coming from a Twitter account that heard it on the show that like vaguely said this is what Nathan said. I don't think that's information we should take very seriously because that's not sourced well. But yeah, regardless of where he was on the Browns board, like I think this tends to be a situation where somebody got a draft crush, right? You know, it happens to the best of us, right? We all get the draft ick on good players, and we all get the draft crush on mediocre players. And this seems like a one where, you know, we were so used to not executing offenses in Cleveland last year that maybe Kevin or Bill saw Dylan out there just simply executing the offense of Oregon and said to themselves, man, I'd kill for that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that Dylan Gabriel can do. He can execute an offense.
Yeah.
I don't know if transitioning from, in college, all he did was run the super spread kind of gimmicky bullshit offenses, going from Josh Heupel at UCF to going to Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma.
Damn it, dog.
Then going to Oregon. Like, he didn't have no type of NFL structure to a passing game. It's just like,
which does beg the question, how much do we value his experience? Because I think that's a big part of Dylan Gabriel is he's played a lot of football. But like Josh Heupel football, man, I don't count that shit at all, dude. Like
I think we gotta count those as half years.
Especially like the shit he was getting away with in the American, like as opposed to what he tries to do in the SEC. Like you think he's doing bullshit in the SEC. That's what he's allowed to get away with because he's playing like much higher caliber athletes. You know what kind of bullshit he was pulling off at UCF, man?
Like, you gotta go deep into the vault for the UCF stuff, which is again like if you gotta go deep into the vault, find the UCF highlights. I don't think that's good.
Is Gabe Davis the best Josh Heupel wide receiver right now?
Oh God, was Gabe Davis a Josh Heupel receiver? Or was he?
He was what 2019 UCF, right?
Let me check. Jeez.
Yeah. By the way, there are images of Dylan Gabriel throwing touchdowns to Gabe Davis.
Of course. Oh God, he is.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, that's the best Josh Heupel wide receiver.
Oh God.
A lot of stuff are falling in line right now. I could just see it with JP where it's like, oh,
like that makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like those 2018, okay, man, enough of Josh Heupel. I've had enough of this. We can't keep letting him get away with it. You cannot keep doing the gimmicky bullshit and sending Jalen Hyatt to the NFL. Run a real route tree.
Yeah. And I think with Dylan, I don't know what's the best offense he had. Like, at least Oregon's offense is notoriously awful to evaluate because all they do is throw screens, right? Like, it's just 70% screens. No matter who's fucking quarterback, they do this. It happened with Herbert. It happened with Bo Nix. It's happening right now with Dylan. But at least I can say to myself, dudes have come out of Oregon and played well in the NFL.
True.
You cannot say the same for Josh Heupel. And, like, Lincoln Riley, it's a real mixed bag there, dog. Of like, there's two number one overall picks that played with Lincoln Riley, and the one dude that worked out took 4 teams to do it.
Hey, I think we're starting to get to a point with, especially Lincoln Riley, that we're starting to see some of the development outside of the QB spot take a hit because Lincoln Riley never really I say this about a lot of the air raid like bullshit coaches. They don't actually like want to be head coaches. They just want to draw up cool shit on a white.
They want to play NFL head coach.
They just want to draw up cool shit that gets like 30 likes and retweets, and then like go speak at coaching clinics about their gimmicky bullshit offense, and just have that be their like go 9-3 forever.
Yeah, because what Lincoln Riley has had 3 number 1 overall picks play for him.
Yeah.
All 3 of them, you could argue, have not lived up to the mantle of being a number 1 overall pick.
Like, he did have the last year of Jalen Hurts.
He had last year of Jalen Hurts, which is probably his best selection, the guy who played 4 years outside of his system in a real pro-style offense. And then Baker Mayfield, who played 2 years with him. So, like, again, there's this disturbing pattern of less time with Lincoln Riley, the better. The NFL career tends to be because Kyler Murray wasn't with them all the way, but Caleb Williams was with them all 3 years, and we're like, oh, he's got to unlearn all that shit.
It's like, yeah, you just can't do this anymore.
Chicago, we're like, oh, this is gonna take a while. Like,
man, who else did he send?
3 first overall picks. One of these dudes should be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Okay, like,
well,
maybe Caleb gets there eventually. Maybe
I think there's still hope for Caleb.
There's like you got to spend a certain amount of time away from him. Like,
I'm not gonna lie.
There's still time for Caleb.
Jay Daniels got the clear lead right now.
Yeah, Jaden's got the lead.
Clearly,
Drake May. I'm telling you, dude's good.
And Q knows how I feel about Drake. He knows how
Drake May. Yeah, Drake May gonna be solid.
Dude's real good.
Be fine eventually, but I do think there is some Lincoln Rileying that needs to happen for him. That, like, I mean, it was apparent with Kyler early in his career. It was apparent with Baker Mayfield early in his career. Like, there's a bit of deprogramming that needs to happen. I wonder when he's going to officially get the fucking stigma, right? Because he's been flying stigma free. Like, I wonder if this is finally the one to give him the stigma here. But yeah, Lincoln Riley, Josh Heupel, and then the Dan Lanning, whatever the fuck they do at Oregon offense, it's just not an encouraging set of offenses for me to be like, well, you are super experienced, because I'm like, experienced at what you're never going to do in the NFL, which is run that kind of an offense.
Well, I think the thing that drew Dylan Gabriel a lot of praise was, like, Bo Nix ran the same offense, and Bo Nix was a first-round pick who played fairly well last season. Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel are 2 completely different quarterbacks with 2 completely different sets of athletic tools. I think Bo is bigger. I think he's stronger. I think he's better under pressure, quite frankly. He's better under pressure than Dylan Gabriel. I think he's a better athlete. And even saying Bo Nix is better under pressure than Gabriel is, like, to an extent, it's like, okay, there's the big thing, like, because Bo Nix wasn't that great under pressure, still isn't that great under pressure. So it's with Dylan Gabriel, it's tough to see. I didn't think he was a 3rd round pick at all. I think I had him graded as a day 3 guy. I think, like, drafting him at 94 is wild. Yeah. And then drafting Shedeur the next day might be even wilder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that.
It makes the pick worse. It made the pick worse to me. And Q, me and you talked about it. Me and you talked about it on Spaces when it happened. I was furious they took Dylan Gabriel 94. Like, I was like, what are they doing? But then you turn around and then you draft Shedeur, who pretty much everybody said was better than Dylan Gabriel. before the draft.
Yeah, I think
Like,
Dylan Gabriel at 94 means that you hated this quarterback class.
bro, why not just, you know what pissed me off? You know what really pissed me off? I was just like, let's see, like in my mind after they took him, I'm like, I wonder who's going to be the very next player who gets taken right after Dylan Gabriel. Xavier Watts. I was like, you know what? I'm sure that's not going to annoy me for 10 years.
To be fair, Xavier Watts got passed on two times in the second and third round by Cincinnati, and they employ his former defensive coordinator. I wonder if there's something up there. Like,
well,
or
Xavier
if
Watts
the concern with like the speed is like more real than maybe we're anticipating.
I'm a fan of Xavier Watts. I was a fan of Xavier Watts, but I also think that he's just an average athlete, which it's a little bit easier to get away with being an average athlete at safety in college football than it is in the NFL, because if you're an average athlete in college, you are still one of the best athletes in college. If you're an average athlete at safety in the NFL, you are on the bench. They will find you. You will be found immediately. That's basically how like every Chiefs Bills game goes, where like the Chiefs find the most average athlete in the Bills secondary and just go after him like 40 times a game. That's how they win every time. So
a lot of post, hey man, like technique can't get you out of that one.
Yeah, you can technique as much as you want. You cannot technique a 4-3.
Right, but Malik Davis is gonna run across you. He's going full speed by the time he gets to you.
Yeah, you can't technique 4-3.
Yeah,
as much as you really want to.
And 4-3 is pretty pedestrian in the NFL at wide receiver.
Like if you run the 4-3, you considered one of the he's fast.
He's cool.
That's it. Like he's just fast.
Go over the top. 4-4 is like, I don't know if we could throw the ball downfield.
I truly don't think people understand how fast NFL athletes are, because we see like the perfect example is Malachi Starks. Everybody called Malachi Starks slow. He ran a 4.5. Like a 4.5 flat, and was like, "Oh, that's slow."
Person saw somebody run a 4.9 40. They would think that that's the fastest dude that they have ever seen, and that is a slow speed for like a 270-pound like defensive end to run 4.9. Like if you saw somebody, like when I go to camp and I watch these dudes run full speed, like on the punt drill, I'm always like, "Oh, these guys are just moving cars, dude." Like it's just like 0 to 22 miles per hour like that, and it's like number 38. Like it's not even anybody who's like that doing that.
Like that's the bottom of the roster, and the dude is running faster than basically everybody in the city that isn't employed by the Browns.
No, my friend Tyvis Powell has a great story about this, because he was like, I was speed dude my whole career. Like I was always fast. And then one day I get on punt team and they telling me, you got to watch out for this dude, Tyreek Hill. And I'm like, man, I ain't worried about no rookie, right? You know, I ain't gonna give him no cushion. He said Tyreek Hill ran straight through.
My dad tells a story all the time. He walked on at Florida State. Got hurt before he could truly like play at Florida State, but he walked on. Had to defend Randy Moss in practice. And he was like, "Oh, this is just skinny dude. I'm gonna jam him. See what he can do." Ball snapped. He goes to jam him. He's already 15 yards downfield. And he's like, "Oh, like never mind. I don't think this football thing gonna work out."
Hey man, like, at that point, you just gotta act like you thought it was cover 2. I thought it was hook flat.
Yeah, you know, you gotta do the thing that NBA players do when they like very clearly commit a foul. You just gotta like, that's me.
Yep.
My bad.
No. If you want to stay on the team, you know what you got to do. Yell at your safety.
Yep. Blame the safety.
This is why it's hard to be a pedestrian athlete at safety.
No, I'll always remember from the Browns Cowboys game this year. Thornhill leaving CeeDee Lamb open, and then looking back at the safety, like, where were you? It's cover 1. That's brother, your woman.
Brother, he was the deep safety.
I was furious. He looking around trying to blame somebody. I'm like, it's you. What the fuck? it's you.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
There is nobody better at gaslighting other people than NFL defensive backs, because they will sit there and point at somebody else knowing damn well that it's their fault.
Man, hey, did he try to blame Denzel on that too? Was he trying to blame Denzel? Or he trying to blame?
It was egregious. It was egregious. Too. It was pretty like, I know you can't think that was Denzel's fault. Like you better be asking Denzel what the coverage was. Or look, here's the play though. Here's the chain of blame. Okay, first, if you're a corner and you let somebody buy you, you blame the safety. And then if you're a safety and something you blow your shit, you know who you blame? The green dot, right? Who got the green dot? If it ain't me that got the green dot, he ain't get the play call in. That's what happened. Right?
Mm-hmm. Everybody's at fault except for you.
Bro, it was some bullshit too. It was some bullshit because he could have made a play on the ball too. That's the thing that pissed me off the most. If he was paying attention, the ball went right by him. But if he was paying attention, he could have made a play on it. But instead, he wasn't. He blew the play, and he tried to blame. Oh, I guess it was Martin Emerson who he tried to blame. He tried to blame Martin.
Yeah, that's crazy because Martin definitely didn't have the green dot.
Yeah, like, I was like, bro, what are you doing? It's you. It's you.
Nah, Juan Thornhill's hilarious, man. Like,
good luck, Steelers fans.
Where's he playing? Still Pittsburgh?
Yeah, good luck.
If we had the wide receiver to take advantage of that. But yeah, Juan, where do we even start with? What player were we talking about that we got all the way to Juan Thornhill blowing the cover?
Xavier Watts.
Oh, we were talking about Dylan Gabriel.
We were talking about Dylan Gabriel being
we started talking about Xavier Watts. All right. So, like, I don't know what you're going to miss out on at 90 by selecting Dylan Gabriel. I do think there is a chance that Dylan, like, because what he does do well is once he gets outside of the pocket, he does make some of his better throws there, and he doesn't throw a lot of turnover-worthy plays at the position. I just think he's just ultimately the thing that points out to me, Ohio State was up 28 by that first quarter, right? Mm-hmm. In that game versus Ohio State, still 65% of those passes, 10 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, oh, so like even when you're getting your ass beat, you're not going to push this ball downfield. And I think that's the big question is like, if Dylan wants to be anything in the NFL worth writing about, he has to be more aggressive than he was in all of his stays in college. And like even some of those is like, yeah, he threw down the field more with Lincoln Riley. But we know why that's the case, right? He threw down the field more with like Josh Heupel, where you're going to get a lot more space. You're playing in the American. Maybe you're not aware of your limitations, but could it be by the time he got to Oregon, he was so aware of what he was afraid he couldn't get away with that he felt like he couldn't do some of these things unless the window was wide. And how is that going to look in the NFL if that's the source of the problem? Now, it could be like, part of what happened with Brock was Brock got to the NFL and was like, I'm not inhibited. I'm just going to try to make these throws. And like those throws were landing for him. And maybe that happens for Dylan. And maybe the ability to throw outside the pocket gives him a little bit of a floor. And he does legitimately throw when he's within range a decent deep ball, right? Like he has some nice moments there. So I think he's going to put together some nice showings in the preseason. Maybe if he gets out there in the right situation, he puts together a nice couple of games. I worry about when a team actually like locks in game plans and like makes him do the shit that's hard. Can he do it? And part of being 5'11", right, and why that's such an issue is you mentioned it, right? He's not good versus pressure. Well, when you're 5'11", you don't have a lot of answers or counters to pressure, right? Like we talk about stepping up in the pocket. It's a big thing when we're going to talk about Shedeur later on, right? Does not step up in the pocket, doesn't have a lot of great answers versus pressure against elite athletes. But you think he can develop them because he's a normal size quarterback. But when you're 5'11", you step up, that center becomes really tall. So you got to throw over him. And the thing about Dylan is not only is he short, he has short arms too. Like 29-inch arms, which is in the bottom 10 percentile in the NFL. So, somebody like Russ, who's 5'11" flat, he has 31-inch arms, right? 31 plus inch arms. So maybe he's able to get the ball over the guy or arc it and find the lane, even though we know Russ has never been great at that kind of stuff, even with that advantage. And it just makes me wonder, like, what's your answer to pressure? He's not a great enough athlete like Russ was to have that kind of an answer versus pressure. Russ was also such a good athlete that he could get to the outside no matter what foolishness happened inside the pocket, especially early in his career. We compared him to Fran Tarkenton. So if that's not the case, how are you going to consistently be able to get to where your strength is, right? Like, think about it like basketball. Dylan has to get to his spots on the floor. Can you get to those spots consistently with what he has physically? And I think that's the big concern that I have with him, that we'll see how it looks in the NFL game. But, you know, I think he's going to struggle to get to his spots for a lot of various reasons. And if he can't get to his spots, it ain't going to look nothing like it did in college.
Yeah, I think, can you get him to it? Can he get to his spots, or can you get him to his spots? And what is the opportunity cost of trying to get him consistently to his spots without sacrificing everybody else on the team? You know, I think when you talk about pressure, there's a few ways to beat pressure, I think, in the NFL. You can beat it with your legs. That's what we see with like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson. They can beat it with their legs. You can beat the pressure with your arm, with like Justin Herbert. You beat like Jordan Love is not an exceptional, like outside the pocket creative guy, but he has one of the strongest arms in the league, and he can throw passes into tight windows that not many people can or will try. Or you can beat or you can beat the pressure with your mind. That's where guys like Joe Burrow, I think, even at this stage of his career, Aaron Rodgers has seen every single thing in the NFL. He can see pressure coming from a mile away. He'll get the offense into something where he doesn't get hit and the ball comes out quick. So I think for Dylan Gabriel, it's got to be, and to some extent, I think Shedeur Sanders has to find this as well. You have to find your answer for pressure because you can't beat it with your legs. And I think that's where like most modern quarterbacks, sans like Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, really try and beat pressure. It's with their legs because that's what they're so used to in college. But when everybody's faster and everybody's bigger and you're not the most overwhelming athlete on the field, you got to figure out your counter to that. And I think for Dylan Gabriel, it's going to have to be with his mind or through Kevin Stefanski. You know, we see like, and I hate to use him as an example because I actually think he gets a lot of hate and a lot of flack. I think like with what Ben Johnson did for Jared Goff this past season while he was in Detroit, just kind of dressing everything up and making sure you know exactly where to go against every single pressure so that you're not flustered when you see it, is going to be really important for him. Even if Shedeur is the quarterback there, you have to be able to dress it up and make sure they know where your answers are for every form of pressure. Because if they don't know the answer, they're going to end up trying to create back there, and it's not going to go well.
And see, that's a hard thing to do when you don't have a guy you're committed to at quarterback. Like
it's really tough to do.
Yeah, like it's almost impossible, right? Like you could do it with Jared Goff because like Jared Goff's the guy there, right? And he can play well enough at a base level to where you could be like, okay, let's try to build up a wall against his weaknesses. But when you don't even know who's going to be your starting quarterback September 1st, it's like you got so much shit to worry about before you even get to that part of the evaluation, or even figuring out like how to make that evaluation versus other teams. That it's not gonna be easy just to prop the guy up, right? Like to a point, the quarterback has to stand on their own talent. To Jared Goff's credit, even though people do rightfully shit on Jared Goff, I think sometimes rightfully, sometimes not, right? But Jared gets to a base level to where he can start, right? The question is, how much further can you take that? How much can you build up on him? And does it all fall apart when you just go up against some fucking dudes, right? Like on the defensive line, and it changes stuff. Because even with Brady, shit started to change when those D lines got elite, right? But yeah, it's the answer versus pressure, and like it's always going to have to be a mix. Because even Lamar Jackson, the most athletic quarterback we have ever seen in our lifetime, and the ability to effectively use that athleticism as well, even he like realized at a certain point he's got to be much better at anticipating these blitzes because he can't just run away from them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think that's where both quarterbacks that the Browns drafted, they have to figure out, like I said, where do they win? And I think Shedeur knows where he wins a little bit more than Dylan Gabriel. And I think where he wins is a little bit more translatable to the NFL because I think Shedeur, at his best, can be extremely accurate in the short to intermediate areas of the game. I think he can also extend some passes outside the numbers that I don't think Dylan Gabriel has. And I think that he has touchdown field that I don't think Dylan Gabriel has. But where Dylan Gabriel is a little better than Shedeur, I think Shedeur is still trying to figure out what he can and can't do against pressure. I think Dylan Gabriel knows what he can and can't do. It's just what he can do is so limited by the fact that he is such a marginal athlete that you can't, there's not much that you can do, you know? It's tough, you know? It's tough being like, it's like when you're like the undersized like point guard in the NBA and you're not like a super great shooter or like super athletic, so you just got to try and be crafty. It's really hard to be crafty when everybody's 6'7" and can jump out the gym, you know? So I think with Shedeur and for Dylan Gabriel, it's
hard to make a hezzy batter when you ain't creating that much space. Like,
yeah, you can't create, if you can't create space that way, that move's just not going to work. So I think there's where Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel are both going to have to find more creative or better counters, which is something that I think Kevin Stefanski will have them trying to do in this rookie minicamp and leading up to the season.
yeah.
JP, really quick because we've been talking about the Browns this entire time, pretty much. Bro, how did you feel about the Jags draft outside of Travis? Just how did you feel coming away from the draft what the Jaguars did?
I thought it was good. I think it wasn't like a franchise changing, like from top to bottom. I think Travis Hunter is a franchise changing pick, but I think from top to bottom, it was a good draft. I think adding guys like Caleb Bransaw, I think Bishal Tootin on day 3 is going to challenge for a lot of snaps at running back. LaQuint Allen was one of my favorite picks on day 3. They added a lot of versatility on days 2 and 3, which is what you really can ask for when you don't have as many picks as you thought you would going in. But I think they just they added some more versatility to the room, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which is going to be important because Travis Hunter is going to be learning receiver first instead of corner. So you need to have the depth at corner to kind of make sure that, okay, if Travis is going to come in at corner or if he's not going to be in for a drive at corner, you got to be able to stay afloat.
Definitely. You want to hit on Shedeur a little bit?
I would love to. All right. So I'd say this acknowledging that Shedeur Sanders was my QB1 entering this draft. I also say that to say that I had him as a late first, early second round grade. I thought that if he was picked in the first round, be fine. If he wasn't, okay, I understand. But I also say that to say that I didn't think any of these quarterbacks should have been picked in the first round. But I get why he was not a first round pick. And then Dylan Gabriel got picked, and I was like, okay, something is up here. And I think it's hilarious that everybody in the world saw the Dylan Gabriel pick and was like, okay, something fishy is going on.
Well, this hits on a perfect note because I've been on the same thing with you. I'm like, I like Shedeur the most out of all these quarterbacks, but like feels like late first, early second, you know, not really a prize. Like my confidence was Teddy, right? And Teddy, late first, early second kind of guy, right? Geno Smith is another comp that got thrown out. Geno Smith was the first pick of the second round in his draft, which was also a weak quarterback class, I believe, that year. Was that the Derek Carr year too?
No.
No,
Carr was the year before.
He was 13. 13 was awful. That was the EJ Manuel went 10th overall draft.
Yeah.
But I think there's a tale of two slides that people are mashing into one, right? Because if you want to make the argument that the tape is the reason that Shedeur Sanders fell in the draft, I think that works until you get to Tyler Shuck. Okay.
Yeah.
that
Like,
argument is completely valid until you get to Tyler Shuck at pick 40, which, hey, because he's 6'5" and Dylan Gabriel is 5'11", I think people are like, that wasn't the one that broke people, but Dylan did. But I'm like, Dylan is not a worse pick than Tyler Shuck at 40. I will stand on that business till the live long day.
I don't know if either of those picks are worse than Jackson Dart 25.
Like, talk about it. Let's talk about that.
Look. We can all understand why Cam Ward went number 1 overall.
I get it.
But man,
you got to do some real serious stretching to get me to believe Jackson Dart is a first-round quarterback. Let me just the things that I like about Jackson Dart. I will get that out the way first.
Yes.
He's a good athlete. I'm not going to say like you can have him run the ball 15 times a game. He's a good athlete. He can keep the ball on zone read.
He's a willing athlete. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's tough as shit. He's gonna hang in there against a lot of pressure. He will hang in there. Yeah, he's got the try gene. Now, my biggest problem is if you are late in the Lane Kiffin gimmicky bullshit offense on every pass, I don't know how you're supposed to be on time in a non-gimmicky bullshit offense. I just have so many questions about Jackson Dart when he's not playing Furman that like he's so late on every pass.
Wasn't he the one that dropped and waited on target like once he took out the Power 5 games below Jalen Milroe?
Yes.
He dropped below Jalen Milroe.
Literally the worst.
Side note, I do think it is very funny that with the Shedeur thing, we just skip over Jalen Milroe because everybody's like, look, man, he runs a 4.3. I get it.
You ain't got to explain why Jalen Milroe went
you ain't got to explain why Jalen Milroe
on the podcast. But we were like, I think I get why a team would do this.
Like any quarterback outside Shedeur and Cam that I'd be willing to take a chance on, it'd be Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, and if Jalen Milroe were 2 inches taller, he would have been like the number 1 pick in the fucking draft, despite all the questions that we have about him as a passer.
He was still like he's like 6'2", 220, runs a 4.3, and has the strongest arm in the class. Like
he's like 6'1" and a half or something like that. But
something like that.
Like 6'1" and a half, 220, strongest arm in the class.
Yoked, you look 6 foot when you're yoked like that.
I get it.
But I thought the Browns were going to take him, but
with Dart, I find it so difficult to believe in him when his eyes are just all over the place, and he just tries some real stupid shit throwing the ball. It's just like, why would you do that?
And then
like
also
the biggest one everybody's going to go back to is the Florida game, which like, look, man. He tried to end that game like 4 times in a row before he actually did. And I'm just like, look, I'm good. I think I'm out on this one.
What did they give up to get back in the first round? Did they give up a future first?
No, the Falcons gave up a future first for James Pierce 1 pick later, which I still think is funny because the Giants didn't have to give up a future first for a quarterback, and you decided to give up a future first for James Pierce.
And look, I talked to my boy Trey Sean about this because he's like, hey, man, maybe he'll be fine in Atlanta because he has Rickea Jackson. And I'm like, the fact that he can get Rickea Jackson tells me he won't be fine in Atlanta. That man is absolutely a risk. Like, you need security to tag him immediately.
You need to have him with other people on the team.
Yeah. You need to make sure he's friends with the offensive line. Like
he need a big homie. That it works with the team. That works for the team. He just can't have no regular big homie from Atlanta.
He don't need to be kicking it with the wide receivers. No, sir. No. Stay away from Drake London. Stay away from Kyle Pitts, sir.
Let me tell you something, man. James Pierce is about to have the time of his fucking life.
Hey, look. There are certain people when they come to Atlanta, I'm like, uh-oh.
You know what? They need you need Jalen Walker to be James Pierce's best friend.
Hey man, you need really what Michael Penix seemed like he don't like going out at all. Like he don't like people. That's what you need. Michael Penix needs to start a Bible study. Like that's what you need. Like in order for that to work out there. Like
what's James Pierce over under for sacks? I need to bet that.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. That boy living in Marietta. Like you can't. Kennesaw. Like, not even, no, Kennesaw is way too, no, he can't be near Kennesaw. No, he's got to be like all the way up there near Jonesboro.
I would say you got to put him in like Lawrenceville.
Wherever they got that practice facility all the way away from the city of
Flowery
Atlanta.
Branch. You got to put him by the practice facility.
Yeah. You can't have him within 20 miles of the MARTA. Absolutely cannot have him there. Look, I am an Atlanta Dream fan, and we signed Brittany Griner. I'm like, I don't know what kind of Brittany Griner we getting, dog.
Hey, it's gonna be like when Jim Nagy lost to Juan Jones at the Senior Bowl. Dude just upped and left Mobile.
Oh yeah, he was in New Orleans.
Like,
kicking it with Zion.
Hey man, don't let Zion get traded to the Hawks.
All-time worst fit, dog.
That is if anything can go wrong, it will.
He gonna get here, and the people of Atlanta gonna be like, food. Okay,
that ain't the only thing.
Yeah, he is in trouble. Okay, if he comes here. Like, there are just certain athletes you absolutely could never go to Atlanta. And James Pierce is one of the 5 guys in the draft where I was like, well, he definitely can't come to Atlanta. And they mortgaged the future for him. Terry Fondu has a scary
very funny GM. Like, he is betting on this team being really good next year.
Evaluations.
Which, like, look, fine, you're in the NFC South. Anything can happen. But, man, if this shit don't work, you might want to start filling out your applications. You might want to start rebuffing.
The crazy part is I don't even know if that's the craziest. Well, if that was crazy, but then the other team, your rival, took Tyler Shuck 40th.
Yeah. I have to say, my girlfriend's family are New Orleans Saints fans. And I just found it so funny that next day, that Friday, I kept getting asked by them, like, who do you think the Saints are going to pick? I hope it's Shedeur. I think it's Shedeur. We all got a feeling it's going to be Shedeur. The pick comes in. It's Tyler Shuck. Only text I get is, I hate the New Orleans Saints. I ain't hear from them for the rest of the night. I was like, damn.
That when you search Tyler Shuck, it's that clip of the combine that pops up on him, right? Like, that's the first thing that you see. But honestly, it should worry you more if you research Tyler Shuck and realize he used to be Justin Herbert's backup.
He threw passes at Oregon to his current teammate, Juwan Johnson. You know how long Juwan Johnson has been in the NFL?
Forever.
Yeah.
Juwan Johnson was signed with the Saints as an undrafted free agent in 2020.
Ooh,
damn.
Tyler Shuck was throwing passes to him at Oregon.
Damn, he was in college football in the fucking 20 teens.
Hey,
he graduated high school the same year I did. And I have 2 degrees.
Please tell me you heard the Saints fan spaces on Twitter.
Oh, yes.
When they took Q, did you listen to these?
No, but I imagine they were hilarious.
He might be the most universally like hated person in New Orleans. Just by sheer like proximity.
Yeah, man. Tyler Shuck, pick 40.
And like the thing with Shuck is I thought he could be a fine like spot starter, high quality backup. You don't draft those guys at 40.
You don't draft that guy at 90.
Like I thought he would be like a third. I could talk myself into like a late second round pick. 40 feels like you're gonna try and get him to start. And I think the thing with Shuck, again, I'll say what I like about him. I think he's got a strong arm. I think he's willing to test downfield. But because of all the injuries that he has had in his career, he is also incredibly skittish under pressure. You have probably seen a film clip of him under pressure against Stanford, and he just underthrow, like flicks the ball forward into a group of 2 Stanford defenders. There's no Louisville receiver in sight.
No, the Brandon Weeder energy is crazy on him. Like, it's insane.
5 years old. What makes you think you need to do that?
Because remember that one clip that went around Brown's Twitter forever of Brandon Wheaton?
Yeah.
Behind the back.
like throwing the interception.
Like, what makes you think you got that in your bag? I'd be like, Patrick Ewing, that step back one leg, what shot is that? You don't practice that.
You don't practice that shot.
There's no way you practice that shot. And so I have a lot of questions about Tyler Shuck, again, under pressure, because he's not that great of an athlete. He has to win with his arm and his mind, but his mind lets him, because of all the scar tissue he's gotten through the injuries, through all the hits he's taken, it kind of, and I don't say this to say they're the same player, but it kind of sounds like the discussion we had with Kenny Pickett about all the scar tissue he had for being hit in college. And we've seen that take an effect on him in the NFL. I wonder if that's going to be the same thing with Tyler Shuck.
At least Kenny Pickett got that scar tissue out the way in a normal amount of time for somebody to get through college. Like, we're also talking about somebody whose breakthrough year in production was when he was 4 fucking years older than everybody else on the field. Yeah, like might have something to do with it. Might have something to do with it. This man is grown, right? Like, nah, I wasn't going to justify Tyler Shuck in the first, second, or third round. I was like, that is a 5th round pick. Like, he was a 5th round pick when he walked into the Senior Bowl. I don't know why y'all convinced yourselves after he left the Senior Bowl that is
you want to know why? Because he was the best quarterback at the Senior Bowl.
Dog, we were competing. It was like, was it him or Seth Hennigan? It wasn't impressive.
Again, need I remind you, Jackson Dart was also at the Senior Bowl.
So was Jalen Milroe. We gonna leave him out of this. So was Dylan Gabriel, who arguably looked the worst.
Dylan Gabriel might have been like, I think Dylan Gabriel was the only F I gave out during the live draft grades. Because I was just like, why?
Oh,
what?
I'm glad you were not in the space when it happened, because I lost my mind. I was
like,
bad. I was bad.
Again, that was the one where I was like, okay, something seriously went up with Shedeur's interviews if Dylan Gabriel's getting picked at 94.
And even if something was up with his interviews, like how bad
I still would have taken him over Dylan. Like, I don't care.
I would have taken him over Shuck. Like, if I had to draft somebody and play him, like, are you gonna take Shuck? No, dog. I'm like, at least Shedeur could possibly justify the pick at 40. There's no shot Tyler Shuck is ever going to justify being the 40th selection in the draft. And like Jackson Dart, and you brought this up. Hey, man, it's not a good omen when all the Lane Kiffin quarterbacks are only effective on the Birmingham Stallions.
It's also not a good omen that one of the people who talked Brian Daboll and Joe Shine into drafting Jackson Dart was Joe Judge.
Joe Judge.
The one guy who, again, coached the Giants into the spot where they are now, saying, yeah, you should go draft that guy.
They ignored Pat Shermer, but we're like, yeah, Joe Judge.
That's our guy.
That's our guy. What Joe had to say, he used to work with Belichick. You know that? Like, does he still work with Belichick? Is he one of those guys down there in North Carolina?
I don't think he works with I think he works, he's an analyst at Ole Miss.
Oh God.
Jesus.
And here's the thing that drove me crazy about, like, because to a point you can make an argument about the tape and Shedeur's not a first round pick. We've all made those arguments, right? But then I hear people, and like I think it was Bomani Jones that tried to make the argument that the tape justified him being in the 5th round. And that's where I'm like, you can't tell me this kid can't process, but you took fucking Jackson Dart 22. Like, that's just not acceptable. Like, there's not an explanation there. And there was nobody who was saying the tape on Shedeur was so alarming that he should fall to like the 5th round. There were some concerns, obviously. I think me and JP have expressed those concerns throughout the process pretty vocally about Shedeur and his habits in the pocket. But the ideal of like, okay, now like he's legitimately in danger of Curtis Work going ahead of him in the draft is crazy. Like,
yeah, how we got to Shedeur Sanders being a 5th round pick is crazy. Like I said, I could see him not being a 1st round pick. I had no there's no way he could have gone outside of day 2 without, again, those interviews he had to have flunked the interviews.
And the fact that it's the Giants leaking out all this stuff about how bad his pre-draft is, and I know full damn well that the Giants, look, the Giants being the team to speak out to you is going to give a lot of credence to a lot of the conspiracy theories going on if you look into the history of the Giants at the quarterback position. And it's why I was able to predict that the Giants were absolutely going to take Jackson Dart, right? Like, they have a history at quarterback that speaks louder than I can for it. But
again, when like that Jordan Schultz report came out after they drafted Dart, it's like why they drafted Jackson Dart. The biggest thing that they said that stood out to me was they liked Jackson Dart after the helmet came off. Everything about him being a leader in the locker room.
Crazy.
I was like, that is a crazy sneak diss.
Wow.
That is an insane sneak diss.
That is a dog whistle. That's what that.
Like, if you go back and look at that tweet that Jordan Schultz put out, there's maybe like one or two things on there that has to do with actual football being played, like on-field athletic ability. Everything else is great leader, competitive, love him when the helmet comes off. And I was like, this is just one big sneak diss.
This is they just held up a banner that said white guy. Like that is all of the justifications. Like,
love it when the helmet comes off. It's crazy.
Look, the white guy thing, it makes sense because look, the Giants can't have 3 black quarterbacks in the room.
Bro, they intentionally started one once, and it was Geno Smith, and they benched him and apologized for it the next day.
Look, you can't have too much black people in that room, especially the black people you got in the room. You can't have Jameis, Russ, and Shedeur in the room. So you got to go out and.
It's a lot of different brands in there. I just knew Shedeur was definitely, look, they might start a brother, and that brother might be Russ. But that brother was never going to be Shedeur Sanders.
Russ, Jameis, and Shedeur. Russ, Jameis, and Shedeur are 3 different denominations of church. And whichever one you go to is going to be the one that you like.
3 different worlds of
different worlds.
Okay, like of the diverseness of blackness. Those 2 are very different than Shedeur Sanders. Right?
I will say, all 3 of them on the same team. Pre-game prayer, fire.
That would get people fired up.
You think ain't gonna be fired with Jackson Dart? When the helmet comes off, you know. He seems like the kind of guy we want to follow. Like, the kind of guy you want to put in leadership. Oh boy, I wonder, because like Shedeur grew up with a lot of money and a lot of access, and I wonder if he is just now like having a lot of realizations about what money and access cannot get you. Right, like in this country. And
also, I do have to say, I did just find this tweet from April 27th, and it's a video of Jackson Dart being asked what quarterback he wants to train with the most, and I was like, oh boy, this might not go well. You know who Jackson Dart said? Jameis Winston.
Oh Lord!
Wow, that is
brother. Are you good?
Oh Lord!
I have questions.
Did they sign Jameis knowing they were going to get Jackson Dart in the first?
That would be incredible. Incredible. Look, man, I don't know.
Yeah, all the QBs is just like vibing along with this conversation. Curtis, This man is responsible for all of this.
What do you mean? I am not responsible for all this. I am not responsible.
You were responsible for the Jackson Dart mania.
Oh, yes, you are. Don't even try to beat bullshit about it. It is your fault. It is your fault.
How do I point the code? Right here. This is who you blame. Because he was putting Jackson Dart propaganda on the timelines of over 20,000 people. What, January? Was it March? It was early.
It's January. I think it was like January.
Yeah.
It was January, and then it started and it continued.
Look, we're not the only ones that point the finger at Colb for this. Corey believes it too. Okay.
Hold on. Don't bring Corey in this. Do not bring Corey in this. Corey hates that, man. Corey said he was gonna beat me with hammers. When I said about Jackson. He was like, "Hey, man, he sucked. The kid sucks. Kid's terrible." I was like, "What's going on?"
I bet his whole quarterback class is just everything that went down to the decision making. We got to have Corey on because like this shit was crazy, especially like through his perspective because he didn't like who went one. He didn't like who the second quarterback was.
He liked nobody.
Like the third one.
The only quarterback he liked was Shedeur.
Okay, I found the Jordan Schultz tweet. All right, first bullet point. Culture builder and competitor, reminiscent of Josh Allen in terms of guys wanting to play for him. He may be 21 years old, but leads like he's 35. Hey, I don't know. Leadership skills. Dart was a key cog helping Lane Kiffin recruit the portal at Ole Miss. Watching film, making phone calls, texting, yada, yada, yada. Third bullet point. Giants felt even more comfortable with Dart once the helmet came off. Commands a room.
That Jackson had an accident. They had to make show.
Fourth, Brian Daboll quickly realized Dart had the heater in his arsenal. Arm is more than strong enough. Comparable to Bo Nix in terms of downfield touch throws. Then has to win at everything, not just football. Can be a card game, ping pong, yada, yada, yada. This dude has to win. There's like maybe one thing that has to do with football in that. That is the craziest sneak diss I think I've ever seen covering the NFL.
And by the way, JP, you've been around a lot of athletes, so I'm curious to know what your answer is because I know what my answer is to this. Everything that they mentioned there is fairly common.
Yeah, oh my God, we have to trade up for this guy. Guys want to play for him.
Win at Uno.
Like, duh. Everybody wants to win at Uno.
Competitive. Like,
if you grew up playing sports, you're probably competitive.
Yeah.
This is not some groundbreaking thing. Oh, he just has to. He's gonna stay at the blackjack table until he wins. That's a sign of the problem.
Also, I would love to point out, dude who's ultra competitive and guy that the teammates love, not usually the same guy. Like, unless he's like that. Like, that guy's usually a fucking asshole, right? If he doesn't want to lose so badly that he like flip, like that guy's usually a jerk.
Also, it wasn't that hard to recruit people to transfer to Ole Miss. You didn't go to Ole Miss to play school. You didn't even go there to play football for real. You just went there to go get drafted.
Did they lose the number one player on their team to Ohio State?
Yes, they did.
They lost Judkins.
It was rumored that he was a part of pushing them out. What? There's no. Hey, look, man, journalists, y'all gotta push back. Okay,
we need to start putting names on sources.
Like, if you ain't gonna put names on sources, you gotta push back at like obvious bullshit. Like, ask one or two follow-up questions about this because just letting this slide is crazy.
Yeah, I just don't understand why you can't just like ask a little follow-up question, like, hey. What do you mean by later when the helmet comes off? Like, what does that mean?
I would ask like 8 follow-up questions. Like, no, what does that mean? Why did you say it? Why did you think that was appropriate? What is going on?
What do you think separates Jackson Dart from Jalen Milroe from a leadership standpoint? See what you come up with. You know,
you can't say lank around the Giants.
What you gonna tell me? That kid don't work hard.
They don't want to let the naysayers know.
Alabama program, he ain't transferred. Jackson Dart did.
They don't want to let the naysayers know.
Mm-hmm. What about it that bothers you about Jalen Milroe when the helmet comes off? Is it those hip hop braids that he
Okay,
has?
what is it? The braids?
Please speak into the mic and speak clearly. Thank you.
Yeah, I would please. No, answer the question. Well, it's semantic. No, it's not.
We need to know.
Yeah, somebody needs to ask them what they least liked about. Well, no, not what they least like. What did they feel about Shedeur's music? Right? You got to hit those buttons, right? Where you're like, oh, okay, here it comes.
Hey, do we think Shedeur played some of his music for teams in the interview, and that's why they wouldn't draft?
Hey, man.
Listen, it could be anything, bro.
They were at that draft party only playing Sanders family music, and I was like, "This is just crazy to put people through this right now."
That is a little crazy. They're not that good.
And I'm like, boy, all of these songs sound like you play them because you love who made it. Right?
Yeah, like you must be here.
Well, my baby made a songs.
You just got to say it's good.
Like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. You know,
you get a little head nod in there.
Yeah, okay. Can we put some fucking actual music on though?
Not me. I'd have been like, turn this bullshit off.
Like enough.
Hey, look,
turn Future on right now.
Maybe they got in the car with Shedeur. He played his own music and they got the ick. I understand. Okay.
Brian Daboll was like, turn that shit off.
Like, nah, it was like, well, he one of them dudes to play his own shit. You know that dude who rap? You get in the car, now he playing his own music. Oh, okay. All right. We can't take this motherfucker nowhere.
Get me out the car.
Like, bro, why you rapping?
You think Jimmy Haslam was like,
perfect timing. No, let me tell you something. The conspiracy theory that Jimmy Haslam like forced the Browns to pick Shedeur, I beg people to ask the question, what makes you think Jimmy Haslam wasn't one of these owners that was like, hey, man, we're not taking Shedeur Sanders?
After everything the Browns have been through when it comes to attention on their QB room, why would Jimmy Haslam specifically want more attention on their QB room?
I would argue that they probably had to beg Jimmy to let them take Shedeur. It's more likely than Jimmy begged them to take Shedeur. I think they had to make the argument to Jimmy that one, it ain't gonna cost them nothing. Two, they can get rid of him if they need to. And three, they got everybody else they wanted. Right? Like, and then Jimmy was like, okay, but the reason you took Dylan Gabriel is because of something else, right?
See, initially, and I kind of let the hashtag narrative get in my head here. I was like, maybe they drafted Dylan round 3 and Shedeur round 5 to give Shedeur like a challenge to like put him low on the depth chart to make him work for something. And that kind of goes back to the point where I wanted to make. This Shedeur draft fall felt like an NBA 2K storyline. I feel like this is something that Spike Lee would come up with. Like this is something. You played 2K. You played the My Career storyline. This feels like something that 2K would cook up.
It feels like something that would happen in a movie, like in All American, if they made it all the way to like the NFL, right? Where it's like, oh, we got to give them something to come overcome these next 3 seasons. Let's go ahead. Like I was like, this almost felt manufactured to a point, like that it was so made for TV that the fall happened. But yeah, I tend to think that, like, I just hope that the Dylan Gabriel over Shedeur pick was more about the fact that Shedeur has commercials and he's a very followed athlete, and you're going to have Sexy Red at the game, which, by the way, hashtag perfect fit for Cleveland. If you ain't never been to Cleveland, you might not understand it, but Sexy Red get to the Cleveland, she going to be like, wow, I like it here. She might get a house. Okay. like no shade at all. If you from Cleveland, you know exactly what I'm talking about though. Because who else came down to Cleveland? Was like, I love it. Was it like Jeezy?
Like, I think it was like Jeezy.
Yeah, it was like Jeezy was like, damn, I love it here, right? But yeah, it's there's a lot that I think you have to convince maybe not football people about with Shedeur. We'll see how he comes in. Maybe he was like truly the asshole in his pre-draft workouts or whatever it was. Like maybe the dude just like I don't know what you could do in the pre-draft workout make you fall below Tyler Shuck and Dylan Gabriel. Like,
Hey, Q, hold on.
what somebody say?
Chat said, Adam said Jimmy Haslam's on the phone like, hey, I heard he'll bring that sexy red to the game.
Can guarantee you Jimmy Haslam has a completely different picture of a sexy red in his head.
I think you might be pleasantly surprised when he actually sees.
Not like
I think he's going,
like when Jimmy Haslam hears sexy red, he's like 100% thinking of a car, right? Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, little 55 Corvette, like, with the top off, sexy red. Then wait till he figure out what that actually is.
no, my bad.
He's like, oh, she going sexy red smashing the guitar is gonna be crazy. Okay,
insane, bro. It's gonna be insane.
It's gonna go crazy. But yeah, the Shedeur thing's interesting. There's a ton we could pick about him as a prospect. I mean, we talked about it a ton, right? The ability to escape, not be like my best description of Shedeur is like he wants to use Cam Newton's escape packages, but he does not have the physical capabilities of doing that in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he, as a player, he kind of bites off more than he can chew outside the pocket. And because he kind of puts himself in bad situations because he's just not that great of an athlete. But I kind of saw a guy in 2024 that was trying to figure out the limitations of what he can do. And he found out the hard way of what he can and can't do. So knowing that going into this NFL season, I'm curious to see how he works in an offense that will have a better structure offensive line and just more talent in front of him that will allow him to kind of be more upright as a passer.
Hey, look, Ty Robinson taught him a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember he rolled out, tried to do a little backpedal thing to throw the ball, and Ty Robinson's like, nah, I'm here. He was like, what? Why? He didn't know the Cornhuskers were that fast. Like,
he realized it's in Nebraska.
He might run faster than you, Sean. Like, he ran 4.83 at the combine, didn't he?
I think so.
Hey, man, and by the way, like, again, I don't think people understand how terrifying a guy built like Ty Robinson running 4.83 looks in person. Like, could you imagine you're 50 yards away from Ty Robinson and you look over and you just see him coming at 4.83 speed?
Just like one of them. He's like one of them golems from Minecraft.
He has the build of somebody in pro wrestling that all their offense would be chops.
He built like a bushwhacker.
He hits people like.
You saying he Braun Strowman?
No, because Braun
got muscle.
Like that. No, I'm saying like Fat Walter, right? Like like NXT. Walter.
They're thinking like Vader or like Stan Hansen. Yeah,
like just you know that hurt when you run into him.
Hey, you know JP. Yeah, that close off Mel. That's in Ty Robinson's. That's in his moveset.
Mm-hmm. Like it's more intimidating when a dude that big, that fast, don't got no cuts. Right? Like that's how you know that's real strength. That is farm strength, right there.
You don't even be worrying about cardio.
Oh yeah,
there are no cuts there. He's just there to lift.
And look, usually they have great cardio too. Like. Like they just never stop. You're like, what is this dude? Like, you ever see him get tired? like you telling me right now you don't think Jokic would chop somebody really hard?
I bet. Did you see what he did to Lou Dort? You see what he did to Lou Dort? He said, over with.
Yeah, Jokic made the calculation early in that game. There is one way I'm winning: physicality. Right, like he was talking like a football player. I got to out physical them at the point of attack.
Man, I can't wait for Browns training camp so we get because I just want to see Shedeur's face when he sees Mason Graham and he's like, "Oh, that dude is fast." That dude is
I have made this point on my channel. Nothing is going to make Shedeur realize he needs to develop a step-up game like that first day of live pads with Myles Garrett.
You're going to find out real quick.
Woo! Yeah, going back is a horrific option.
Look, Myles Garrett is still like the fastest dude I think I've ever seen around the edge. And he's also close to 280 pounds. You put your back foot in the ground, it's over.
Word around the street, he be jumping over people at 300.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Look, he weighed 270 when he came into the draft, right? Look at Myles Garrett now. Look at Myles Garrett back then and tell me that don't look like an extra.
You cannot tell me. Myles Garrett playing. Aaron Donald said he played at 265. There's no shot. Myles Garrett just walking around at 300.
Listen, man. All muscle. All muscle.
Jumping 46 inches in the air.
They got fucking jeering out there on the defensive line. That is not real.
No, if you ever want to know how like just outrageous of an athlete Myles Garrett is, there's two things that like always paint this story home. One, ever listen to an active offensive lineman or an offensive lineman that ever had to play against Myles Garrett when Myles Garrett's name gets brought up, and the immediate reaction is shit. Okay, like they brought up Myles Garrett talking to Joe Thomas to Jason Kelsey. He was like, "You fucking asshole! You taught him this shit." Like to Joe Thomas, like or when they asked Lamar Jackson, "Is there anybody who gives you issues on a read option?" And he was like, Myles Garrett.
I'm telling you, when I went to Vegas for the Super Bowl, I got to interview Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, and they were doing this thing with Bounty, where you had to put on the little green Bounty bomber jacket or something.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a jacket big enough for Myles Garrett. He just didn't wear a jacket.
They gotta cut the sleeves off.
He tried to put on the biggest jacket they had, and it wouldn't get on one arm. I was like, damn, all right, man. Like I went to shake his hand. His hand is like 2 times the size of mine.
He about to have the fastest welcome to the league. Both of them, by the way, Dylan and Shedeur, they're about to have the because first they're going to get introduced to their offensive linemen. Everybody, these guys are way bigger than and fast and. Jack Conklin's an all-pro, and Joe Bitonio, he might make the Hall of Fame as a guard, and you're like, oh shit. Like, I got a fucking all-star team in front of me, man. And then you're going to see Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, and Mike Hall get off the ball one time and realize, oh, shit.
It's like that video of when Geno Smith was trying to throw the ball and Aaron Donald runs from him. He's like, oh, my God. That's what Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel going to be like.
Bro, what? And then here's the thing. If Myles tackles you at camp, he's not going to get yelled at. You are. Why you touching the franchise? Get rid of the ball. Okay. Like we can't
How much we pay him?
Like, nah, that's the franchise, son.
You see how much his checks are?
Uh-huh. Yeah, look, if I were Shedeur and Myles called you and said, hey man, this is what makes you food for me, I would listen intently. Okay. Because if you don't want to be food for Myles Garrett, that is a good strategy. Just ask Myles, hey man, what do I do that makes your life easy? Because you really should want to make that dude's life easy. But yeah, both of them are gonna have to learn that. Dylan Gabriel, I don't know what it's gonna be like the first time. He's gonna be like the Godzilla movie. The first when you see Godzilla walk up, you see Dylan Gabriel, like, who is that? Like, is this a fucking eclipse?
Myles Garrett gonna go to tackle Dylan Gabriel, end up giving him a V trigger like Kenny Omega.
Dylan Gabriel gonna be putting his helmet on. Myles Garrett gonna walk out. It's gonna be like, what's going on?
It's gonna look like an Elden Ring boss fight.
Myles Garrett, like, just pops up over his head.
Health bar across the whole screen.
8 health bars. Unlimited magic stamina, like all kind of crazy shit. He's just spamming shit at you. Like, what?
You take one hit and you die.
the impossible Miles challenge. Like, people like, they're gonna set up like the broom for you to throw over. And you're like, it's not going to be that tall, right? And then Miles is going to put, like, because he's 6'4", 6'5", and he has like a 6'8" wingspan or something crazy like that. So he's going to go up and it's like, oh my God, are they all like this? Like,
they not all like this, son. You ain't got to worry about that. They not all like this.
Imagine the shock, though, of being like a left tackle and you're drafted in the first round. And you get to like the Cleveland Browns and you think like you done seen it all. You done played in Alabama. You done seen freaks, right? Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart. And then your first day of practice, you find out that you have to go up against the guy that NFL athletes say is far too athletic. Okay?
Myles Garrett is so good that even when we do 2017 redrafts, he still stays at number 1 overall.
He's truly the Hakeem Olajuwon of football.
It's like Hakeem. I get it.
Jordan went 3, but guys, there was no way they weren't going to take him number 1 overall.
I get it. That guy's awesome, but have you seen Hakeem?
This is the most athletic, talented quarterback that we have ever seen at the position. He has an arm strength that we could only dream of. Yet Miles is still going number 1.
It's like, have you seen that guy play?
Why? He's 300 pounds and he could jump over a center. Okay,
and he's also faster than like most receivers in the league.
Mm-hmm. And he has the bend of Von Miller, who, by the way, is like 6'3".
And like 250 tops.
Yeah, and he bends. Nah, it's crazy. By the way, a lot of bend on that defensive line too with the Browns, with especially with Mason Graham.
The real peak like Jim Schwartz ball, where like you're not worried about trying to like go through guys in terms of like speed to power. We're just gonna run around you.
Hey, Jim Schwartz and Jock Vaughn are thrilled. Okay, like you should have saw Jock Vaughn's face, our defensive line coach, when they turned in that Mason Graham pick. Look, hey, Andrew didn't look excited. Well, nobody looks. The Browns, Kevin and Andrew never look excited, right? Like it's never a thing with them. But Jock Vaughn was back there. They brought him to the building the next day. Jock Vaughn ran down them steps. Hey, man.
Like, hey, he got to work with a pep in his step.
Yeah, Jock Vaughn. You ready to work with Miles?
Hey, no, but Tarver, the linebacker coach, he was like that when they took Schlesinger too.
Oh yeah, he was in the front, dog. Like you know how they have him walk into. No, Tarver was in the front, like waiting for an Amazon package that you've been waiting for 2 weeks. He's like, yeah.
That's always how you can tell that like teams draft guys they really want. There was a video of the Eagles when they took Jahad Campbell, and that was the first time I've ever seen Vic Fangio smile. Like that's the only time he's ever smiled is when they drafted Jahad Campbell.
Nah, the Jason Tarver was out there in front, and he was like, "Man, you look taller."
Like what?
Like what? A kid on Christmas. He like, yeah, you look taller. Yeah. So it's always funny, like when you see, like, especially position coaches, because they don't hide it. Right, the GM will hide it. The head coach will, because they got to play a larger political game here, right? With these guys over the course of their career. You know who don't got to play that game? Jock Vaughn. Okay. Jock Vaughn to tell you, oh yeah, I pounded the table for this. Okay, we trying to get downhill right now. Okay, I'm like, oh, so they had Mason Graham ranked higher in that defensive line room than Abdul, huh? Like, they were doing backflips. I tell you. And look, if the Browns, if the Jaguars could do us a favor, JP, and get us the number 1 overall pick and free up the Browns to use their top 10 pick on I don't know, somebody like Caleb Downs, you know.
I think they should just go all in on just not having a quarterback. Just blatantly just go, no, we don't need one.
Hey man, might be able to work. You get Caleb Downs, Myles Garrett, like Denzel Ward in the same offense, the same defense. It might just be like, hey man, who can be Trent?
Look, just win every game 9-6.
Hey, Joe Flacco be like, I've been on this ride before. Like, I'm your man.
He said nothing but a word.
Hey, all right. You want me to ride the coattails of a great defensive player? I got you.
I'm the guy for you.
I can teach the rooks how to do it. The key is you have to have a safety for Denver play the worst deep ball you've ever seen in your life, and then you score to win the AFC Championship game. That's how you do it. Was it Raheem Moore?
Oh my gosh, I think it was.
Yeah, Raheem Moore misplayed that deep ball in his career. He was in Cleveland like 2 years after that. The stinky Cleveland. The Cleveland that was intentionally trying to lose. It's crazy how fast his career fell after misplaying that one deep ball. But yeah, it's interesting. Do we want to talk a little bit about the NBA?
Should we?
All the top teams lost game one.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them yet. Because
we've been talking about Boston, Oklahoma City, and Cleveland as the top three teams.
I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about like the top seed.
No, Minnesota might win that game. I don't know what's going to happen, but those were not the three big teams that we were talking about coming into this playoffs. We don't know what's going to happen with them. But all of these three teams that we've been touting as like the top of the NBA lost game one, in rather surprising fashion as well, right? I don't know what to make of this. If I'm being honest.
If you look at 2 or 3 of the games, the 3-point differential decided it. It was like with the Knicks and the Pacers, like they just straight up outshot the Celtics and the Cavs. The Celtics took 63 pointers, which is just fucking
insane, terrible basketball.
It's just fucking stupid. Like you don't do that. But that decided those 2 games. Like the Pacers just were plus 30 on the Cavs.
Pacers were 55, 55, and 100 from the floor.
The Pacers
splits were crazy.
The Pacers are terrifying, man, because like they know what they can do. They know what they want to do. They're just gonna try and outscore you. You got to try and keep up, but they have so many different ways to get it.
It's so weird because a lot of these dudes, like if you look at their regular season 3-point percentage,
30% from three.
He was like 20. He was at like 29% from 3 in the regular season. He's shooting like 60% in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's averaging out back to 40. That's what's happening. Right.
You always shoot your average.
Yeah. You're gonna average back out to 40 somehow, right? That's baseball logic, but it does work in basketball very often.
I feel like with the Celtics-Knicks series, like the Celtics kind of do this sometimes where they get up a lot and then just get real sleepy.
We know.
We've come back from 20 twice on Boston.
Yeah, they just get real sleepy and it's just like, hey man, the game is still going on, right?
They are the most focused group in the world.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because like they're a title winning group that didn't really like lose anybody. How do you lack this amount of focus? But the Knicks I feel like this is where the Knicks want to be. They want to be the team that like nobody thinks can win. Because that's where I think the Knicks are at their best, when nobody believes in them. They can create the nobody believes in the Knicks mantra. But
you can blow out the Knicks, but what you cannot do against the New York Knicks and when Jalen Brunson has it going is keep this close, right? And I think that's Boston's fatal flaws. They are addicted to letting you get a shot at the end of these games. And Jalen Brunson is the last guy in the NBA right now that you want to do. Even though he missed the game winner, he ended up making like 2 threes in overtime to make up for it, right? Like I know that some people thought the Clutch Player of the Year award from was controversial, but when you watch him in this playoffs, you're like, yeah, that's definitely the Clutch Player of the Year. Like he is making every big shot. And sometimes even Karl Anthony Towns contributes, which I'm waiting for the Karl game, right? Like Karl had the great game, and I'm like, this is usually where I eat my words with Karl, and then right when I admit that, I'm like, oh, maybe I was wrong about Karl Anthony Towns. He Karl Anthony Towns something. Like he does something crazy. So, but honestly, like Jalen Brunson, if you keep the game close, he's
probably going to do it.
Yeah, if it's between Jalen Brunson and Jason Tatum, it's like they both can get buckets, but Jason get a little hot and cold where Brunson just seems to find it like in the fourth quarter, no matter what. It's disgusting, right? And you can't play a close game with them. You gotta blow them out and keep them blown out, because you let them back into it and they get that grit and grind going, and then let Cat make a fucking 3, it's over with, right?
It's kind of the same thing with the Nuggets, where like you gotta keep the foot on the gas pedal, because like Jokic is gonna, like, not only is he gonna make shots for himself, I think he had like 42 and 22, which is just an unbelievable stat line. But he's also just going to find shots for others. I mean, I don't know if there's much to take away from the Thunder for that game other than don't let Aaron Gordon shoot an open 3, which is, I mean,
I'm gonna be real with you, man. If there's anybody on that team you want taking a 3
yeah,
to win a game, it's Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon's the one. I mean, it was Russ and Aaron Gordon on a 2-on-1 fast break, and Aaron Gordon ended up being the one to shoot the 3s. Okay, like that's just. It'd be like that.
Sometimes dudes make shots. It is what it is.
Yeah.
With the Nuggets, I do think eventually, look, they've had Aaron Gordon make 2 game winners for them, and they have had Russ make countless big shots down the stretch. Eventually, the other side of that parallel is going to show itself, which is you're going to get the Russ in the fourth quarter, shoots himself out the game.
I push back on this. You know what makes the NBA playoffs so funny? Is because you wait for those moments to happen with certain guys. And sometimes what you run up against is this is the one year where that does not happen. Where you're like, eventually it has to stop it, but like it never does.
3 last night.
I'm telling you, bro, like you're waiting for things to like regress back to the mean. But what makes the playoffs great is like sometimes that shit just doesn't, or it doesn't happen in time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
That's
by the
true.
time it happens, it's over.
It's
like
over.
they've already won it. Yeah, like it's so interesting to watch.
It's definitely interesting.
Except James Harden. You could bet
on the bad James Harden.
Yeah,
you could bet on that. You could bet on that happening, especially in a must-win game. You could bet on him not being good.
And you know what's crazy? Every year we make this point, there's always some motherfuckers like, oh, you know, you can't count out James in games and all this, and he's going to be a factor.
Yes,
and it's like,
yes,
bro, why do you do this? It's been how many years of James Harden being doo-doo in game 7s?
Elimination games, period.
Bro, he been ass in the playoff. He been ass in big moments since I was in high school.
I think he's had over 40 playoff games where he's had more turnovers than field goals made in his career.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Like,
it's crazy to play that many playoff games.
There's no way to explain that.
It's an insane stat.
Bro,
you can't even really fathom
I was watching the All-Star game, and the All-Star game got close, and James Harden missed 2 free throws to tie the game. He just get the lemon booty. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it get tight. He just start dropping shit. Like, he's the all-time worst. Like, he's the opposite of Jalen Brunson.
Yeah,
he's the least clutch MVP this is a dude who's averaged 36 points a game.
You could make the argument that James Harden, if he were just better in the playoffs, was better than like Dwayne Wade. But you can't really make that argument because we've all seen James Harden be an absolute liability in the playoffs far too often. Like, how many times are we like, well, CP3 didn't get hurt? It's like, yeah, because he's fucking ass. He can't win the game for you. It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's inexplicable. Like, how a guy who is so good,
he is
regarded as like one of the greatest regular season players of all time, just doesn't play well in game 7s.
He is a walking charger. Like, that is what he is. He is a human charger. Like, oh my God, look at all this incredible shit the Chargers are doing. They get to the playoffs? Of course, man.
Do you understand how great you have to be as awful as he has been in the playoffs? And he's still widely regarded as the 4th best shooting guard ever.
You know how great he has to be to play in this many game 7s for us to have this large of a sample of him being awful in them?
Like, you got to get to game 7 to be bad in game 7.
It started early. Like, I remember in the 2012 finals, he was the main person. Like, yeah, man, what happened to James Harden? Little did we know.
It was like, remember when we thought that was an aberration? It was like, oh man, it's first time in the finals. It's not gonna stay like that.
Y'all doing too much on this whole thing with James, man. And then now it's like what, fucking 20 years later, 10 years later, and we're still like James Harden game sevens. He can't out. He had Kawhi next to him, the ultimate game 7 guy, and he still couldn't counterbalance it.
And like the crazy thing about that game 7 they just played against Nuggets was that game wasn't competitive.
Not at all.
Like, the Nuggets put the foot on the gas immediately.
It's like it's almost as if they knew, hey man, it's like James isn't playing tonight, guys. We got this one.
It's game 7, guys.
Do you understand? Buddy Hield has had more incredible playoff performances in a game 7 than James fucking Harden. And Buddy Hield got one.
Yeah.
He got one. That's it. That's all he got.
Who's dude that Draymond punched in the face?
Jordan Poole.
Got more than James Harden.
That's right.
That's crazy. That's insane.
I am excited for Draymond Gobert too tonight.
And like the audacity of James Harden to compound this with playing for the Clippers is insane. No, I'm saying like you're gonna be the bad big game guy, and then also compound that with being on the bad big game team.
Well, I think the process is like 2 negatives make a positive, but that's only if you're multiplying.
They got Kawhi Leonard just out there drowning. Okay, just drowning in bad luck. Like
that's Kawhi's fault. He didn't have to go there. He chose.
There's only one more thing James Harden could do to complete his career. You guys know what that is, right? Play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, baby.
I was gonna say play for the Falcons.
Shit. Well, see, the Falcons actually get to the conference championship in the Super Bowl, though.
That's game 7.
Game 7 is like a regular playoff game in the NFL, though. Because it's do or die. It's like the second round and beyond.
It's a little different.
Isn't that once you get to the second round and beyond, it's game 7 energy. Round 1, you could get like the Dolphins, and you gonna, even if you the Chargers, you gonna beat the fucking Dolphins, right? Like,
are you sure?
Round 2,
are you sure? Like we thought that the Chargers were gonna beat the Texans last year.
Hey man, we watched the Jags walk the Chargers down.
Yeah, we were down 27-0.
Remember, Colb, on this show, I was like, hey man, Justin Herbert is never going to win anything because he got walked down by the Jaguars. Okay.
Dog, I had to leave the premise. I had to leave my seat so the Jaguars could make that comeback. I was at the game, and I was convinced that the entire season I was bad luck for the Jaguars because every time I watched the game, the last game that I actually watched, Trevor got his like knee folded by the Detroit Lions. It was before the bye. And so I didn't watch any game after that. And they went on a win streak. It was to the point where I went to the gym during the Thursday night game against the Jets where they beat the shit out the Jets. I had them change the TV in the gym. I couldn't watch the game. So I was like, you know what? It's playoffs. I think the bad juju is worn off. I'm going to go to the game. I sit down in the seat. Boom, 27-0 down. I start getting messages like, leave your seat. Get up. Leave the building. I'm like, damn, all right.
The JP though, like the audacity for you to think you bad luck and you gonna bring that shit to him in person is crazy.
I thought the bad luck was over with.
Rely on the broadcast signal. You like, nah. I'm gonna bring this virus next to the team.
Look, man, that was the first playoff game I actually had the chance to see, and I was like, you know what? Maybe the bad luck is over with. Evidently, it was not. So then I go and watch the game from like the concourse. And I see the comeback. I'm looking at the comeback from the Bud Light zone. And there's just beer everywhere. It was insane. But yeah.
I wonder if you like popped your head out to the concourse to actually watch it, and then like Trevor Lawrence throws an interception. You're like, oh fuck.
I legitimately left all of my stuff at my seat in the stadium, and to the point where like I ran into this really nice couple from Minnesota who are also Jaguars fans. They came up to me after the game and gave me my stuff because I just left. I had to leave everything.
You just left your shit, like you were just like, you know what?
The only thing I had with me was my wallet and my phone. My phone died after the game. I had to Uber to a hotel so I could charge my phone after the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. James Harden on the Clipper. I don't know how we ain't see this coming. Because I was starting to convince myself, I'm like, man, they really good. They got a lot of talent. Then I forgot. If they get to a game 7, can they win without James?
You know what cooked them? You know what really cooked them? That game winning dunk from Aaron Gordon that cooked them.
Yeah,
that cooked them.
And that could only happen to the Clippers.
Brother, do you understand how much has to go right for you to lose?
It can only happen to the Clippers.
For you to win on a game-winning tip dunk in a playoff. You know how much it has to go right for that to even happen?
And we're talking about fractions of a second here, Colb.
Yeah.
Didn't that happen in Denver?
No, that happened. I think that happened in LA.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, it was over.
That's crazy.
Like, come on, bro. Like, you know how much has to go wrong for you to lose that way?
That's one of them ones where you start asking, is this the plan that God wants me to follow?
It's like, why are we doing this?
This is crazy.
Why was I made a fan of this team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I don't feel any sympathy for those people because you live in LA and the Lakers are right there and you chose to be a Clippers fan. That's ridiculous.
I have sympathy for them people because the Laker fans sound like that, and I'm like, I understand why you would want to root against that. Like
it's just stupid. They've won 17 titles. What are you doing?
Maybe they like the underdog, you know?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Maybe they want to support the team that they can afford tickets to go to, Colb.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
That's true. Let's go.
Okay, so let's throw that argument out.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Now you can't afford. You root for the NBA version of the Falcons, and the team right in the same city is always going to be like Big Brother. That's a lose situation.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the Clippers were like notoriously cheap and racist.
I'm about to say it had an owner who was a flagrant racist. like why are you?
They made a TV series about his racism.
It had Ed O'Neill play him.
Bro, who was Doc Rivers in that
Fucking Lawrence Fishburne.
They had Lawrence Fishburne playing Glenn Rivers.
Yes.
So, because of how bad the Clippers were.
They hired. I'm like, who talked to Doc's people about who they should cast?
Why are you making?
Who didn't tell Lawrence Fishburne what he was doing?
Yeah, like,
you're making the assumption that they talked to Doc about this.
No, you know who they didn't talk to? Blake Griffin.
Bruh.
Okay. Horrific portrayal of Blake Griffin on that show.
Horrendous.
I'm like, damn, DeAndre Jordan got a better run than you. Like, and they got DeAndre Jordan befriending a lizard in that show.
You really sat down and watched this. You really sat down and watched this series.
No, because it was good. It was better than the internet gave it credit for. I will contend that. I finished the whole series. I actually enjoyed it. I have not watched the Hernandez brother, the Aaron Hernandez version of this.
You could skip that.
It's not good.
I heard nothing but horrible things.
See, I kind of like junk like that, to be honest with you. But yeah, man. No, if you only seen the first 2 episodes of how they portrayed Blake Griffin in that show, it gets so much worse. So much worse with how they do Blake in that show because it follows Doc Rivers and CP3's perspective.
Oh.
Yeah. Boy, if I'm Blake, I gotta ask some questions at the next reunion. Okay, like exactly what did you think of me? Like, but yeah,
Oh man,
yeah. By the way, they had DeAndre Jordan played by somebody who was like 5'10". Okay, like.
Hey, I'm gonna shoot him some bail. It's probably hard to find
It's hard to find 7-foot
actors that are good.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the limitation of film, baby. You just can't replicate. It's like with Winning Time, they tried their best to have somebody look like Kareem, but Kareem like 7'3". Like, ain't nobody gonna feel tall like Kareem unless everybody else is really short. Like, it's impossible. But yeah, man. Anything else we got left to cover in today's show, Curtis? Curtis gonna come on.
Dang, Curtis left.
Is Curtis in the chat?
Oh no, my iPad was messing up, but I'm back. All right.
Nah, I ain't gonna do that to you.
Hey, don't do that.
Hey, Curtis. Hey, Curtis.
Is that a towel?
No, what are you talking about?
Is that a towel and a big bottle of lotion?
Man.
Hey! Whoa!
Wait, I was just going to act like he was shitting. Cole's mind went somewhere else.
It's like what you doing in there, Curtis?
Oh, man,
We come back on the camera. Curtis put this hoodie on. Oh shit!
Oh man, I hate y'all. Anyway. I hate y'all. Anyway, let's get these super chats done, man.
You fouled for that, Cole.
Just asking questions, man. I'm just asking questions.
No, that's crazy.
Oh man,
That's crazy.
oh man.
Curtis, I just want to make. I was not going there. Okay.
Oh man.
Cole hijack whatever I was doing. Okay.
It's just like, hey man, it's there. It's there.
Anyway.
We got super chats.
Yeah, we got about 8 of them. This one from Iceman. Someone says, who's your pick for most impactful rookie, not QB? I don't know if he's like clarifying, but
Yeah, not QB. Either Graham or Schlesinger.
I'm gonna say Schlesinger, to be honest.
I would say Schlesinger.
probably Schlesinger, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Either him or Quinshawn, probably.
Quinshawn could because he's gonna play right away.
Yeah, one of the two.
Next one is from Iceman again. It's for JP. JP, what are the odds Jags give us a top 10 pick?
Whoa. I mean, there's always a good chance because it's the Jaguars, but I do think this Jaguars team is going to be very good. So I would put them at I would say maybe a 60% chance that pick is outside the top 10.
I've only been able to evaluate JP's relationship with the Jaguars for a couple of years. But I'm going to just say this, y'all. The more excited JP gets, the more we should be asking, are we going to get a top 5 pick? Because they're going to let this man down.
I'm so ready for it just to completely implode. But I'm so hopeful for this team, which makes me know that this is gonna.
What would be more heartbreaking if you started off 2-0, 3-0, and then lost out? Would that be the most heartbreaking way for the season to go?
No, I have seen much worse. I think the collapse at the end of 2023 was worse.
Yeah, that was because you were really
that team was 8-3 going into the Monday night game against the Bengals when Trevor got hurt, and then lost every single game after that.
Can't think of a worse combination. Trevor got hurt and had to play the AFC North back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, that was horrendous scheduling.
Final boss, Myles Garrett.
I remember that game too because that was Tyler Boyd throwing the worst trick play pass I think I've ever seen in my life. because they tried to do that receiver double pass.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Tyler Boyd stared directly at Josh Hines Allen and threw it right to him.
All right, what's the next question?
Next one's from Fu Love Su. I don't know if I pronounced it right. How do you feel with Hickman/Delpit after last year?
Oh, I really want them to figure out who the other safety is going to be with Grant Delpit long term. But I've already talked myself into it being Caleb Downs in 2026. So it is what it is.
Yeah, Hickman's going to get a shot to start here. I mean, the Browns really only need somebody to play post safety. And Hickman, he had moments his first year. Second year was a little off. So let's see what the third year looks like for him. But yeah, I think they're going to give him an opportunity to fail out there. Again, the Browns have a tremendous upside to failing. Like, they're not going to go out there and try to lose. But, like, if a decision they make results in losing, the upside to losing is not negligible, right, for this football team right now.
Let's be real. If we suck, we get a quarterback. So, I mean, like, it is what it is at this
Or
point.
as Andrew, it will be another asset that we could use to get a quarterback. Yes, but it's pretty much like, okay, man, like how far can we go without a quarterback? If we go somewhere interesting without that, maybe we try to use these assets to get somebody a little bit more established from another team. But if it's looking like, all right, we need that quarterback. And that quarterback is there. Don't like if Cade Klubnik looks like fucking Joe Burrow in 2021 or whatever fucking year Joe Burrow came out of LSU, then yeah, man, we gonna have to make the calculus there that it might be worth it.
All right, next one is from Iceman again. Q a sucker for Sellers though. Lenore Sellers, I'm assuming.
He's good.
Committed to either guys, anybody in this quarterback class, and
He's
I will
good.
not. But Lenore's is fun. He's very fun.
He's good,
Oh.
man. He's
You
good.
are a sucker for you. You are a sucker for Sellers. Okay, there we
He's
go.
selling for sellers.
Right now, he's my QB2. Just the way he mitigates pressure and some of the stuff that he does, like in the little things that he does in the game, are so good. On top of being like 6'3", 245.
He's like everything I wanted Jalen Milroe to be this year.
I would go even further and say, like, he's what we hoped for Anthony Richardson.
Ooh.
But I do want to see him continue to grow in terms of short area accuracy. And the South Carolina offense is a little weird. So we'll see.
Okay,
what happens
JP,
there.
I have to ask, as you said, he's your QB2. Who's your QB1?
Fernando Mendoza, baby.
Oh,
Really? The man
you
who's
and Corey.
in the
You and
world
I'm-
right now.
I'm in, man. The dude rules. Like, he's so freaking good. And the problem with like Cal last year was that some of the receivers couldn't catch water if they had a bucket in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But his ability just to make throws off platform, what he does within the pocket, the processing, and I also think he's a good enough athlete to be a factor on the ground. Like, he looks very similar stylistically to Drake May, and I was a big Drake May fan coming out. I had him as my like QB1A entering that draft, so I'm a big Mendoza fan.
Be interesting to see how the football season plays out. And then my big issue with him is nothing to do with his tape because I haven't watched that shit yet. Just doesn't sound like a quarterback to me, buddy. Mendoza.
Fernando Mendoza.
Are you doing aura checks?
Wait, he wear like 15, don't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But think of all the cool nicknames, though.
Soccer guy to me.
Think of all the cool nicknames.
Well, cool nicknames. Sell me on a nickname.
Cuban Missile.
The what?
The Cuban Missile.
Yeah, man. Off my board.
The Cuban Missile.
Off my board.
Oh man.
Just low aura points for him, man. Like, he's going to be playing at Indiana. That's swagless. That's absolutely swagless there. They're in Adidas school. Ugh. And the real question we got to ask ourselves is, do the Giants feel good about him when he takes his helmet off?
Does he just want to win everything, including
Is he
charades?
sexy enough to be the quarterback of the future for your team? What if that's what the Giants meant? They're in there like he's a looker.
They said you get no hose. That is why we are choosing Jackson Dart.
Shedeur took off the helmet. He ass ugly. Dog. Like, no. Now Jackson Dart is a handsome young man. Just a crazy quote to put out there for something.
Someone you want your daughter to go on a date with.
Now that's always
that's always wild. That's always wild.
Somebody I want my daughter to go on a date with, sir.
Hey, bro, I'm sorry. Cuban Missile is an insane nickname, bro. The Cuban Missile.
only on Twitter could that happen.
I'm already in my head. I'm trying to workshop how can I work Cuban Missile Crisis into talking about Mendoza.
Hey, it's not crazier than the one nickname they gave old boy on the Eagles.
I'll say, is that what we're calling the Browns trying to tank for Fernando Mendoza?
Yep, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Mark it down. That's what we're calling it from now on.
Any hope that Nico looks better in a real offense?
No, because that offense isn't real. UCLA had the worst offensive line in college football last season. Now they're adding a quarterback who was terrible under pressure in a bullshit offense. An offensive line that is still going to be bad.
In the bullshit offense.
Like the most bullshit.
Right. She gotta get out of here. But yeah. Even though I was watching a little bit of Dylan Raiola, I was like, oh yeah, he could throw it.
He's good. I just think he needs to get away from Nebraska. I'm sorry.
Could you imagine if he just didn't have beef with the best wide receiver in the country, where his life would be?
I don't understand. I really don't understand anything that's going on with the 2027 class outside of Jeremiah Smith is really good and DJ Lagway is also good.
Also, Ryan Williams looked like 17-year-old Garrett Wilson already.
Ryan Williams, insane. Dylan Stewart, the defensive end for South Carolina, looks incredible when he's not unloading a shotgun as his celebration.
And then we have Arch Manning, who we all think is good, but hey man, did it beat out Quinn Ewers?
I need to see more from Arch before I call him QB1 or the guy you should tank for, because there's a good chance he comes back. He might not enter this year's draft.
Oh, I don't think he's going to enter this year's draft at all.
I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's
going to enter either.
Unless he has some ungodly year. Or
even if he does, he's like, I'm a fucking Manning. If I have an ungodly year, I can not play next year. I can play pretty mediocre. I'm still going to go. You got the Andrew Luck pass at that point. You're going to go number one once you have the Heisman year.
Yeah. It's going to be difficult for him because I think he's going to be good. He's incredibly talented, but you could tell last season he was not ready for it. He was not ready to play serious football. The one game against legitimate competition that he went in against was against Georgia. And again, it's different playing being the great athlete against UL Monroe and then being a good athlete against Georgia. Because you find out good from great real quick. Jalen Walker ran him down. I don't think Arch Manning's ever been run down in his entire athletic life. He's never been the guy to get run down.
Imagine Arch Manning having that game versus Georgia and then watching Jalen Milroe play Georgia and being like, good God, how fast are people?
The question would be, how fast am I?
Like, hold on. I thought I was kind of like Jalen Milroe. Wait a minute.
Like, I thought I was like that.
No, sir. But that's the Seahawks problem now. I know Curtis is super excited for that. But let's see. We got the next question?
Yeah, we got another one. This is for you, Q. Q, would you rather watch 3 anime episodes or 1 tournament of professional Rocket League?
Easily taking the Rocket League, man.
I'm about to say, I could have told you that. I could have told you that.
Wow.
This competition. This is sport at the end of the day. I can find my joy. 3 episodes of anime. How often do I get to look at my phone is the question. How much do I have to actually pay attention?
You only get to look at your phone twice.
Oh, yeah. Give me the Rocket League tournament. I'll lock in. I'll watch anything that's a competition, man.
He's gonna watch. He's gonna watch Hajime no Ippo.
I'll watch robot soccer. What do you say?
Hajime no Ippo will be moving because that's actually like it's a boxing anime. So
I'm not trying to see somebody draw a competition.
It's competition.
How about
you watching other people play the game? Just go play the game.
You watch One Punch Man.
People input into their controller skills that I cannot achieve into a competition. I play Rocket League. I know what it look like when I play Rocket League. It don't look like the dudes who play it on TV. They be spinning and kicking the ball on angles and shit. Nah, that shit's impressive. Easily Rocket League. And what, it's like 15 minutes? Watch the tournament? Well, no, it's like a day. I'll find my investment. Yeah. There's bound to be like a black and Asian dude in there I could root for, connect myself to. And then we there. Easy.
A black and Asian dude I can root
for. I got to find a home team. It's either got to be a brother, black and Asian dude, or Asian dude, right? Got to find a home team.
What's the next question, dog?
Next one's from Ray Rags. Shout out to Q getting drafted. Can't believe you have to be a trader now. I didn't
get drafted. I got signed by the Ravens, sir. Okay, I played in the Rams. I played for the Rams for years. Okay,
Joe Noboom got signed by the Ravens. And you put a picture on Twitter saying, "This is not me."
You know why I did that? My friend Engraven saw that picture. It was like, "Brother, we signed you." And I was like, "I got to get ahead of this."
Wait, what happened? Hold on.
You ain't seen this?
No, I ain't seen it.
Okay, go to it. It's the last thing I tweeted.
Oh shit! No, it does look just like
it
you.
It does. I can't even deny it.
He's just a little bit lighter. That's all.
Yeah. I was like, damn, he got me. Let me get ahead of this. Okay.
Hey, dog, you look just like the dog. That's crazy.
No, hey, the one that got me was because somebody commented it. I was trying to figure out who somebody said Colb looked like. And then I think somebody commented at the end and they said it was Mitchell Robinson. I was like, that's it. Colb do look like Mitchell Robinson. But it's Mitchell Robinson and Joe Noteboom on the pod right now, dog. It's crazy.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Man. All right. Next one's from Ray Rags again. Maybe he was in there asking for a record contract. I'm thinking he's talking about
Shedeur.
Shedeur. That's why he failed.
Ask for a record deal.
Perfect timing.
Dog, seeing Jose Ramirez do the perfect timing thing again, I feel like Dylan Gabriel's got to be like the worst feeling person of all time right now.
You
got like one congrats post from the Browns. Shedeur gets drafted. Everybody in the city doing the wristwatch thing.
Use it as fuel, little man. Use it as fuel.
Fuel not gonna help you grow taller.
Hey, but he gonna stand on them chips he's building on his shoulder, right? Like he's just stacking chips, man. But nah, the one thing about Shedeur that I would be hesitant to draft him with is just seeing the amount of obvious scammers he is surrounded with.
Yeah.
Every time I watch one of them vlogs, I'm like, ooh, it feel like Lennox Mall in here, dog. Like,
Yo.
like I know they scamming. Like,
not to mention his daddy ran Prime Prep, which might be like the biggest like scam outside of like
I'm
this
like,
section
there's a
where-
whole lot of fraud going on. Like, don't let the IRS come in here. Like,
Yeah, we can't let them get into the function.
like
The IRS.
yeah.
Hey, it's something wrong with y'all, dog.
We'll find out they haven't paid taxes since 2002.
I wonder if he wrote off that chain. Like, is that a business expense? You know?
Oh yeah, he wrote it off.
I know how it gets. It's a content creator. You start writing all crazy stuff. If you get caught up, like I want to know how many people that be in the blogs with Shedeur apply for a small business loan.
Man,
They definitely apply for the PPP loans in the pandemic.
I should have got the PPP. I should have applied for the PPP loans. Got it forgiven.
Hey, perfect timing. Perfect timing. That's what the song about. No, I was watching those vlogs. I'm like, oh man.
No, did you see the one dude when he put on IG story today
No.
about the number about Shedeur having to wear 12 because DeAndre Carter got 2 or something like that? And like they was like, yeah, we knew it was gonna happen, but you know, it is what it is. We gonna keep moving forward. I'm like, brother, he is a 5th round pick.
You don't
He
get to
was
choose.
You don't get to choose your fucking number. You
If
could
I
buy it
were
off that man if you wanted that bad.
If
Like
I were them, I would have used it as an opportunity to flip it and be like, you know, I was going to go with 2, but after this whole experience, it reminds me of one of my favorite players, Tom Brady. And, you know, I want to take the league by storm like he did. So that's why I picked 12.
Very easy pivot.
There you go. You know, but see, look, if he says that, he got to stick with 12, and I don't think he thinks 12 is swaggy enough. Like, it's like I think that's the shit don't look right.
I don't know. And 12 invert is 21. That's what his dad wore. There's a lot of lore there.
It's his homeboy number 12. It's the number we thought Travis was gonna be wearing. You know.
it sounded like that hurt a little bit. It sounded like you was hurt a little bit.
I just need to see Mason Graham put some work in, and then I'll be all right. You know.
I say you want Mason Graham to play offense?
No, I need Mason Graham to put some work in, and then you know what I really like make it happy if I look at the timeline in week 8 and JP's crashing out. I'm like, all right, we're good.
I mean, that's probably gonna happen anyway.
There you go. You know, the Jaguars started season 1-7. All right, you know, we gonna get who we want. Okay, Mendoza, Klubnik, Lenoris. It don't matter, dog. We got the resources. We gonna have picks.
Hey, look. Cuban Missile Crisis.
Hey, might take them both. Just to make it clear, we are never getting back to Deshaun here. Like, just all kind of buffers. Like, in the way.
What's the next one, Curtis?
All right, the next one is from Ray Rags again. He says Harden has averaged 19.7 assists and 5 rebounds, 4 turnovers off 35% shooting from the field and 22% from 3 in 7 Game 7s. He's been significantly worse in the playoffs and significantly worse than that in Game 7s.
It's crazy. There's levels. Like, he gets worse in the playoffs than he is in the regular season, and then it steps up for Game 7 the exact opposite way you would want it for a superstar.
There are playoff risers, and then there's that.
Like, it's incredible because, like, you know how in wrestling there's like the whole big match John thing. Like, John Cena always wins the big matches. This is like the complete opposite of that. He's been in so many big matches and hasn't won. James Harden hasn't won any of them.
Yeah, he hasn't even swung a series with a pivotal performance in a big game.
Yeah, it's like it's
Has
one
there ever
thing
been
to,
a big James Harden Game 5?
it's one thing to never win the big game. It's another thing to actively be the reason why your team loses.
Yeah,
the big game.
55, but Chris Paul didn't show up. It's always the opposite. It's like, well, Chris Paul showed up. Where's James? No James. And at this point, it's not going to end because it's now a thing. It's been a thing for so long. So like now he's aware of it. That's when you're cooked. Like trade him to the Lakers.
Fuck you. What's the next one? What's
you know
the
who
next
needs to help Luka manage his weight? James Harden, baby.
That's right. Get James Harden around that good food in
James
LA.
will teach him all the right stuff.
All right, next one is from Soul Train. He says, Game 7 Harden is like white people in infomercials.
He be selling. That's crazy.
That's insane.
Hey, bars.
Clap it up for Soul Train.
Bars. Bars.
Well, that was good. That was good. Clap it up.
Salad.
That was dope.
That was a good one. That was
All right.
All right. Okay. This next one is from Domo, unfortunately. He says, Sellers versus Aller war all season.
Bro, we are not talking about Drew Allure at all. We're never going to be talking about that.
Hey, you know he's a Browns fan.
I don't give a shit.
Oh, off my board.
Off my board. Last
Do
fucking
you
thing I
take
need.
him just so he doesn't end up working out for Pittsburgh? Like,
That's a crazy reason to take somebody.
yeah, if he's
The
like sitting
pride
there in
of
the second
Medina
round, you're
King.
like, let's ruin his career so Pittsburgh doesn't ruin ours. Like,
The pride of
We talked
Medina
about-
can play elsewhere, not on my
We talked
football
about
team.
3 different quarterbacks, didn't even mention Drew Allure, didn't have any intention of doing it either.
hey, Colb, you know it's a perfect landing spot for him?
Where?
Sit behind Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah.
What's
Don't
Sam
put that
Darnold
bullshit
playing?
out here.
Yeah.
Don't put
Yeah,
that
yeah,
bullshit out
yeah.
here.
Behind Sam Darnold.
Perfect.
Yeah,
It's
you know
perfect,
what I mean?
actually.
Perfect timing. Like, get behind Sam somewhere he can learn, guy he can learn from. Let Jalen play in between, and then Drew Aller season, baby.
It'd be funny if just Jalen was the better quarterback. Both of them.
You got ready to debate Jalen Milroe, Drew Aller. Who should we re-sign and extend? It might be one of them things like Drew Aller gets hurt one year, Jalen plays, and then Jalen gets hurt the next year, then Drew plays, and now there's a debate on who you should keep. Sounds fun, man.
You should they should rotate quarterbacks like starting pitchers.
Just trade for Dylan Gabriel in the middle of this too. Get the Browns to pick back for Dylan Gabriel.
Hey man, y'all can go to hell, man. Stop putting that on my football team, please.
Don't worry, you gonna put it on your football team yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we just waiting. We just waiting.
Because what could happen, man? Sam Darnold can suck, and then they go, you know what the solution is? Drew Aller. Because look, if they gave Josh Allen comps to Will Howard. Wait till John Gruden Googles Drew Aller. Okay, wait till Drew Aller get out there. Ooh, if Tyler Shuck could go in the top 40, dog, Drew Aller is gonna look like God to them.
I mean, Kurt, your guy said that Jalen Milroe was the best quarterback in the draft. To them, they love toolsy quarterbacks who aren't very accurate.
Hey, man, the upside in that room is going to be incredible, Curtis. And I think you're overlooking that.
I mean, I'm not overlooking it. It's just, I know John Schneider has a type when it comes to those quarterbacks. I just didn't think he would go after Jalen Milroe, but who knows?
John Snyder's like the guy who breaks up with his girlfriend and dates like the opposite of that person for the rest of their life. It's like never again. Because he broke up with Russ and he's like, I am never, ever going back to that.
Okay, we're good here.
Went,
Oh, man. All right. Next one is from Mike C. He says, by the way, happy birthday, Q. Welcome to the 30s where stretching and watching foods that cause heartburn take priority.
I've already been there for like a year. That was
Hey, man, clap it up for Q, bro. Clap it up for Q, man. Clap it up for Q. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday.
That's why JP coming on to record some shit with me after this show because I'm going out of town and I need stuff to post. Absolutely. I'm going to take some days off from the internet. That is my vacation. Also going to be going out the state too. So that's fine. Maybe I'll watch an anime. I'm lying.
That's not gonna
watch
watch.
I was about to say, no, you're not going to do that. Why are you going to put that
I'm
out there?
going on a train. Like I'm taking the train to wherever I'm going, and I'm gonna have a lot of time, so maybe I might get bored and be like, let's see what this shit on.
That's not gonna happen.
I'd probably rather do anything else, but yeah, like.
Where are you taking a train? I'll ask you after.
Yeah, ask me after.
yeah.
Like,
We got one more from Domo. We got two, but we just gonna get this out.
We got
Cleveland,
three actually.
Three, two, same thing. But anyway, he says Cleveland, Jacksonville tanking for Sellers / Caden Downs. All right, man.
I don't think the Jags are going to be taking because they don't have the first round pick.
Tanking's out the equation. If they're bad, they're just bad.
I hope they're bad.
I mean, we hope they're bad. Not JP, obviously, but if they're bad, thank God.
JP, if the Jaguars give us a top 5 pick, I will get you a steak dinner. Okay. It's calm. Because I ain't gonna just do you like that. I go root for your misery and then not compensate. I'll compensate you for it, I'll get you a steak dinner. We go root Chris, whatever you want.
I appreciate it. Look, I need at least some reward for my misery if they are indeed bad.
What's the nicest steak place in Mobile? We'll go there, okay? It's the best food they got to offer down there. We get it. Because I am having to prey on your misery, and I don't like that. But, hey, I got to do what I got to do. Okay?
It'd be like that. I understand.
Hey, look, I don't want any reason for us to be looking at this roster next year and be like, maybe Deshaun could play. Absolute worst case scenario. So, yeah, got to make sure we can avoid that. Look, that's what I'm hoping for Dylan and Shedeur. You ain't got to be a franchise guy, but at least, make it so we not desperate. Let's make us feel like we got something there that we can sit for the next 16, 15 games if we have to.
Man, could you imagine if Shedeur was actually, good?
Hey, this is the underrated part that we're talking about here, right? Where this could backfire on NFL owners and GMs. If Shedeur is good, Andrew, the contract is going to be fucking ridiculous. Okay? He is going to hold it up because you know what? He didn't have the leverage in the draft to do some of the stuff that he did. But if he's good and he plays quarterback, show me your hands. Okay? He gonna want what Joe Burrow got, and you gonna have to fucking give it to him. Because what's the other alternative? And something about the guy who has a money sign squared as his official logo tells me he wants to get paid. That is the last guy who's like, I'm gonna take less money so you can sign a wide receiver. So yeah. If he's good, the NFL created a fucking monster. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you worried about Dion? Let Shedeur be good after y'all did him like this. Dion's gonna be a factor. Okay, this is how Dion ends up your GM. Okay, So we'll see what happens here. I would not count out that fact that this could massively backfire on the NFL. It turned into something that they did not anticipate because it happens all the time with the NFL.
Hey, Curtis. Hey, skip the next one from Domo and just go to the one about the posters.
Hey, man. He told me to put frames on my posters, man. Domo can go to hell, dog.
I put some frames on the posters.
Domo can go to hell, man. I'm working on it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Domo can go to hell. I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't know why he pointed that out.
He ain't been right since the draft. I don't know why.
What posters you have back there?
Got the Black Ops poster. Got to get the anime out there right there.
Black Ops
piss you off. Yeah, the second one. I need to update my room a little bit. So
you don't need to frame a Black Ops poster, man.
Hey,
yeah,
man.
You don't need to frame. You don't need to frame that.
You don't need to frame that.
I don't care, man. Let me be. Let me be.
You need to get live, laugh, love in large bubble letters. That's what you need to get.
The little hang in there, cat.
Yeah, you gonna turn 30 and then you gonna get that shit on your wall. Like, you know the one picture every auntie got in their house? Right there next to the doorway. It'll fit perfectly.
I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Yeah, look, if you know, you know.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Every one of your aunties got that damn picture in their house. I saw it on an episode of A Different World. I was like, okay,
The jig is up.
at the bottom of this. Like, this is a Debbie Allen op. But
we got two more.
We got two more. Let's go do them.
Iceman says, "Happy birthday, Q. Thanks for all you do. Rocket League is international esport, by the way. There are Cleveland players too."
Oh, we got Cleveland players.
My order is there brother? Is there Asian? All right. Is he from Cleveland? That's how I find a home team. Like, well, brother or sister, depending on what we're talking about, if it's intergender or not, right? Like, hey, that's how I ended up on the Atlanta Dream. I pay taxes here, and they got Nas on the team. She from Cleveland. We good. Okay. Like,
I went to high school with her brother.
Mm-hmm. Look, connections.
There you go.
All right, this last one's from Ray Rags. He says, "What if the Jags are bad and they say here have Travis for our first back?"
Nah, they gotta commit. They gotta commit. They
got a GM that's low key. A madman, they not gonna do that.
Yeah,
that would be so colossally stupid.
We don't even want him back. We good. Take him.
No, they know like, Travis. They know what carrot to dangle in front of the Cleveland Browns. Here's Trevor. Come on, do it.
They gonna say no. They gonna say no to that too. It's like, why would we get the expensive quarterback? We could just draft our own. What is the point?
Because it's the expensive quarterback, right?
I say it could even be a boat.
Hey, it could be a boat. It could be Trevor Lawrence. Like, people forget Trevor Lawrence was seen as one of the best prospects of all time when he came out. You gonna be able to draft that?
I'll be real with you. I think we're good on expensive former Clemson quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think we are good. We are okay. We good. All right.
Only thing holding me back from being like, yeah, the Browns are definitely going to go after Cade Club.
Listen, we are good on Clemson quarterbacks. We are okay.
So you're saying no to DJU?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no, dog. He's
absolutely
make the league. I thought he was playing tight end somewhere.
I know he's playing. He got a UDFA contract with the Chargers.
He's got to be playing tight end.
Of course he did.
I think he's playing tight end.
How long until DJU joins the bloodline?
Him and Siaki Ika.
Hey, listen.
You put those guys in WWE, man, they gonna look giant. Like,
I'm telling you, bro, they could do it.
Yeah, I think DJ, because there's no way somebody drafted him to play quarterback, right?
I don't think he didn't get drafted.
He get drafted. It's UDFA.
Or there's no way somebody signs him to play quarterback. Like, he's got to be in the Tommy Merlot. Almost, well, Cam Miller, I think he's going to get a chance to play quarterback. But like Tommy Merlot, they told him immediately he was playing wide receiver. DJ has to be like, all right, son, can you block?
Everything that I'm seeing, he's gonna play quarterback.
Oh Lord!
All right, good for him.
Hey man, we'll see how long that lasts.
Last one. Hey, last one, Curtis.
What are our odds for him landing in the UFL?
I don't know what team would want him.
Birmingham. Birmingham do something with that.
Birmingham.
No, it's always the fucking Brahmas.
They can't get nothing right. That team is just bad.
What, Sammy Football, what do you say?
He says, how good do either of these quarterbacks have to play to justify not taking quarterback next year? Sellers Heisman soon. They just can't look like ass.
It depends on what pick you end up with and how good these quarterbacks are.
I mean,
you can see a world where Shedeur, like if you end up with the 20th and 27th pick, right? Jacksonville has a great year. You have a decent year. And Shedeur plays well enough to get you 10 games. then I could see you saying, hey, we're not going to take a quarterback this year. But let's say Shedeur plays well, but you end up with like the second pick or the first pick at the end of the season. Like Shedeur plays well, you end up with the first pick anyways. And the first pick looks to be like Joe Burrow reincarnated. Like Mendoza is having a Joe Burrow-esque year. Then it don't fucking matter what any of these dudes do.
I mean, I feel like Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel would have to help the Browns play themselves out of the top 10 pick to be considered like they're the quarterback of the future. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
And even in the top 10, if the pick is close enough with the Jaguars, you might be able to easily swing yourself back into the top 5 or whatever it is to get you a quarterback. So it's like, it really depends on how strong the class actually is, like how well these guys play next season. But,
like, are we talking about like you have to have like a season like Brock Purdy's when he first came in? Not his first year as a starter, but when he came in to back up Jimmy G.
Well, he went like what 20? Well, no, like 15 and 3 touchdown interception ratio or something like that.
Let me check.
Won a bunch of games and got to a conference championship game.
I mean, yeah, like if some crazy like that happens, then whatever.
But if it's like Jalen Hurts' rookie year, where it's pretty like, I don't know, but it's not bad, then it's not going to be hard to find somebody that you feel. I mean, look, Drew Brees was in a similar position. They still took Phillip Rivers.
So Brock Purdy's rookie year started 5 games, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Even then, if a dude is there that you really love at quarterback, you probably take him and just use the other as trade bait.
Yeah, I mean,
because you got him under the rookie deal for like the next 4 years anyways.
You could use either of the quarterbacks as trade bait, but I also think that this upcoming draft class is going to be strong in a lot of positions of need. Like you might potentially be needing another offensive lineman. There are going to be a lot of strong tackles in this draft class.
They're going to need a tackle.
You're gonna need a tackle, and I mean, there are a lot of true tackles in this draft class. My number 1 right now is Francis Magnoa from Miami, but Caleb Lomu from Utah is going to be really good.
Oh, these are beautiful names for left tackle.
Yeah, Francis Magnoa was like, I think it was like one of the top recruits in high school. He is massive. He's just a big dude. Caleb Lomu and Spencer Fano are also from Utah. Oof. Both guys could be real good offensive linemen in the NFL. Oregon has another guy, Isaiah World, transferred from Nevada, who's like 6'8". Who else? Caden Proctor from Alabama. Little worried about him being a little too big, but I think he's going to be good. There are a lot of true tackles, so there's that. Defensive class is going to be good again. Running back class is going to be good again. So we'll see, because this class is going to have a lot of options.
And the Jaguars will help us get there. Look, one thing I know for a fact, when's the last time the Jags and the Browns both missed the top 10?
Was it 2023?
Did they end up sneaking? They didn't sneak back into the top 10 that year. But I'm saying there's never been a year where both these teams have made the playoffs.
True. But the Jaguars picked 28th in 2023.
Why y'all pick 28th? Y'all traded y'all pick?
I think so. Traded back.
What was your original pick at?
Let me see. 26.
Damn. Was y'all good that year?
2023. That was the year after they made the playoffs.
And they won the playoff game, so they
beat the Chargers. So they were
okay, yeah.
And I think that Browns pick went to the Texans.
Yeah.
And that was used to eventually get Will Johnson.
Will Anderson.
I'm tripping. Will Johnson. I got so many fucking names from the draft process stuck in my head. But yeah, Will Anderson and CJ Stroud that year. But I think that pick was originally like 2023 Browns, so 2022 season. I think we were like 7-9-ish, like a game away from 500, 7-10. So I believe that pick had to be like 12-13.
Where did the Browns didn't have a pick in 24?
We haven't had a pick since 2021.
Okay, so yeah, there might be a world where both the Browns and the Jaguars have not both have picks outside of the top 10.
It's not common. Like, one of these teams will suck. I think we know which team is more likely to suck, but one of these teams.
It will be.
Hey, bro, even if it's us, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's really a question of like, what can the Jags pick get us? You know,
I don't even think the Browns are really interested in winning games this year.
Hey man, it could be a 2018 situation where we get 1 and 4. You know, like,
you know how happy I'd be.
Imagine where the Browns would be if we use 1 on Josh Allen. You get Myles Garrett, Josh Allen, and Denzel Ward in 3 consecutive picks in the first round. He came 1 pick away from doing that, dog.
Oh, we would have been set up for.
But Baker Mayfield fucking whistled at his pre-draft workout. Now we're here. Like, God damn it, Hugh Jackson. Like,
oh man. Oh god.
Yeah, we went all helmet off for Baker Mayfield. It's tough. And then we almost also live in a world where the Browns took Lamar Jackson 34. Like,
yeah, that would have been crazy.
But want to thank everybody for joining us. We're through with super chats, right?
Yes, we good. Yeah.
Damo ain't say nothing else, man.
I hope not. Man,
No,
they're crashing out since the draft.
We're gonna skip that one that Domo said in the middle.
It's a little pissed me off.
Well, you'll see.
We try not to get in trouble here. We trying to keep professional. We trying to keep our jobs here and not get taken down and get canceled.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's what I said. We gonna skip it. I said we skipping that one. We skipping that one.
Whoa. All right. Yeah. All right. That's it for tonight. Y'all have a good day. Everybody have a good night. No shout outs today. Y'all okay? End the stream, Curtis. Like,